and I'm gonna say 500,000 experience because
You're not 50.
I'm not 50. And gonna try and open some gifts to get that experience.
Should we all do that? You're not level 50.
You're not level 50.
That's okay. I wear that with pride.
Not level 50.
You could be level 50.
Y'all are level
right.
50.
You're tuned into the GOCast podcast, your one-stop shop for updates, news, tips, and community in the world of Pokemon Go. Thank you for listening.
Don't be late to these important dates in Season 11.
Soon you won't even need a court to board like a master.
Candela wasn't horsing around and gave us 2 additional bonuses.
So pop an incense as we are special guests, and more on this episode of GOCast.
Hello and welcome to the GOCast podcast, episode 236. It's May 16th, yet another Tuesday, not evening, it's afternoon for us. I'm your host, Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Kyle.
Hiya.
Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Okay. A little bit stressed out.
Distressed,
before the show. But we'll make it through.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that we're here. We've also got some special guests, but before we get to all the excitement there, really quick, let's cover our goals. Yes, we did not record last week, which was fine, kind of, I guess, because there was like no news whatsoever, except for like a couple of things that we'll cover here that were unofficial news, but still topic worthy. Anyway, Kyle, you wanted to get a shiny Cleavor. Did you manage?
I did. Just one.
Okay, I mean that counts. That gets the line item, I guess. Mega progress.
I did.
Wow.
We're so close on so many right now. It's great.
And inventory restock. Are you getting a 3 out of 3?
I'm gonna say no because I did some, but not enough. This is where I would put in some frustration with the game, but I think maybe we'll move on so we can introduce everybody before I air my frustration last week.
Plenty of room for grievances and the like, don't you worry. Here's one right now, actually. Hatch 50 eggs. Yeah, I did that. I actually hatched like 100 eggs, 110 eggs since the last time we recorded. But did I get a Larvesta? No, did not. not a single one, but I did get like 2 shiny Cleavors, so I'm happy with that. That's fine. So
how many raids you do?
Huh?
How many raids you do?
I did 27 total. I did all of the remotes from the day before with some invites. I think actually a couple of our guests might have sent me an invite, and then I did some local ones, and then the 10 remotes that I could from home, and then I started feeling kind of guilty because it's a little expensive nowadays. So that's
same
fine.
thing. I did like 22, 23.
Okay. It's a cool Pokemon. I like the shiny. For a green shiny, it's like one of the better ones for sure. Yeah. Okay. So we did rush through that because we're just so excited to introduce our special guests this week. This is by far the most people we've ever had on this show at once. And so if that didn't already show the hand of who's here, we have the boys from the Incensed podcast with us here today. And we're just kind of returning the favor. They had us on and it was a joy. And so fingers crossed they also have a good time here with us today. So say hello, guys. How's it going?
How's it going?
Hey, dude. How you going?
It's fantastic to be here.
It's
great to
long
have you.
Overdue. But I figured out why you've never had us on the show before.
Okay, Ian, why?
Because your editing process, Chris, is going to go up by 200% this week.
I did lie awake at night. Yes, last night thinking, oh man, what did we actually sign up for? I'm going to need maybe an extension.
You'll never have more than 3 people on the show ever again. So I'm not doing this workload.
Yeah. I got to tell you really quick though, that the League of Legends podcast I used to do, we used to have 7 concurrent hosts.
I remember you saying, yes.
So I will never do that ever again.
I can't even imagine.
But regardless of how many hosts you think should be on a show or not, it is wonderful to have the 4 of you here, and Kyle's here too, so that's nice. But what I kind of wanted to do is just sort of assume that those listening have not listened to your show, and if so, you really should fix that, and we'll tell you how to do that at the end. But why don't we kind of just go one at a time? I want people to learn each of you and put names to voices and all of that right away. So why don't we start with Ian?
Yes, so hi, I'm Ian Waterfall, one of the hosts of the Incensed podcast, also one of the editors of the Incensed podcast. As with all of the boys here, I also do have a YouTube channel and create content there, and that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
All right, Coops, want to say hi?
Yeah, no, not really. No, of course.
Okay, all right. We can move on.
Nobody cares, Coops.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you guys for having us on. Really, really appreciate it. It's been a long time since you wanted to be on, so thank you. But yeah, so my Pokemon name and my Incensed podcast name is Casual Coops. I'm from London, in England. I'm not an editor of the podcast, and I also do not have. Yeah, I also do not have a YouTube channel. I'm kind of like retired, but not retired from the Pokemon Go kind of world. I was an addict from 2017 to probably like 2021, and then 2022, 2023, kind of been here but not been here, you know. So that's hence the name. I'm the casual of the group. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Pretty much when we started the podcast, actually, Coops.
Yeah. Actually, it's really funny, actually. I swear to God that I was literally an addict for years, and then we started the podcast. I was like, I don't even play anymore. Why am I actually here?
No, it's ideal, right? Because then you bring a different perspective and everything. So,
yeah,
you know.
the level 50 casual perspective.
Yeah. I suppose if I'm level 50, I'm not casual, right? I suppose.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Can't claim that.
Yeah. Every time that we have people on, we always have to remind ourselves that, like, we are like the top 10% of most invested active
The
players.
average Pokemon Go player is like level 30.
Yeah, we're no Singaporean grandmother.
Yes.
Exactly. So, Milo, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Milo, aka Poco Milo UK, and also one of the editors of the podcast. And unlike Coops, I am still very much an addict of the game to a vast extent. Yeah. So still rocking and rolling with it, but also based in West London in the UK.
All right. And an active YouTube channel, right?
Very much an active YouTube channel.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, cool. We will plug all of this at the end, by the way. But Mark first.
Cheers, boys. I'd like to sort of reiterate what the guys have said. You know, your podcast was one of my go-to podcasts, certainly from the Pokemon Go scene. And to actually be on your show is something which is very, very, it's almost humbling. So, guys, thanks for having us on. This is lovely. But I'm a bit like some of the boys, create my own content. Masterful27 is on YouTube. The podcast was our way of combining our personalities together during the pandemic, and it's worked out pretty well. We're still talking to each other 2 years on, which is good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even though he is casual and he did play the game a lot less in 21 and 22, he still beat me to level 50. Someone who wasn't casual.
By about 2 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh, it's like twins arguing who was born first. That's what that level is at, you know?
He was definitely born before me.
It's kind of a backhanded compliment. I love it. All right. Well, it's great again to have all four of you on. And thanks again for having us on before. We should remind people to go listen to that episode of Incensed as well as every other episode. We'll let everybody know how to find you guys and your show when we're done with our time here today. So I did kind of want to ask some podcast to podcast questions to learn more about you guys. And then there's like a bunch of topics that are really important right now in the overall communal space for this game. And I thought that it would be a big miss if we didn't talk about it. And normally we don't do big topic discussions on our show because, well, you know, sometimes we don't like to highlight some negativity, and there has been some negativity in the community. So it'll be nice to have a sort of like panel setting where we can all just sort of talk about it. But first, you know, learning a little bit more about all four of you and what your show is, I think is really important. So who can say what your show is about and how it sets itself apart from others? Because there's not just two Pokemon Go podcasts, the two of ours. There's a whole host of them. There's quite a few. So if you were to give this an elevator pitch to somebody, what would you say? Anybody can take this one, honestly.
So like the Dragon Den Shark Tank kind of
Yes.
pitch.
That's right.
Who wants to take it, boys?
Well, when we started the podcast, let me find it. We actually put an elevator pitch as the tag of the podcast. Let me see
we
if I
did
can find
actually.
Is it like it's a down the pub style?
Yeah.
British pub, Pokemon Go, four mates having a laugh, having a chat. Not just about the game, but about the bits that are going on in our lives, and genuinely just having a bit of fun. And we'd like to try and make the audience feel like they're in the pub with us, having that conversation.
Almost like adjoining tables in a pub, wasn't it? We sort of said, we'd be there chatting away.
Yeah.
And then people would be like almost sat on another table, but they just turn around and join in, and like it built that sort of rapport up with listeners. So, but yeah, sorry, Ian, go for it, bud.
Yeah, and what sets us apart from other podcasts in this space is that we try not to take anything too serious. I know there's a podcast that actually uses that as similar to that as a tagline, but we kind of don't take any. We'll bant on each other, and the podcast isn't just about Pokemon Go, and that's very important. It's as much about the four of us individuals as it is about the game.
Yeah, no, and I think that really comes through when people listen. The familiarity and comfort level is through the roof, right? And it feels like we're all friends, right? That parasocial aspect is really strong with the four of you. So I think that's great. So we all talk about Pokemon Go. What is everybody's favorite aspect of Pokemon Go? Are you into raiding? I know that's a hot button issue right now. Hatch and eggs, also a hot button issue right now. Well, I guess what isn't? But so I'm curious for everybody, like if you had to say like one or two things that you do in the game primarily, what they would be. And let's hear from Coops first.
Yeah, so the first one is close the app. No. So genuinely, ever since the game come out, I mean, back in the day, it was just incredible. It was amazing. I've always been a raider. Like I always used to like meet up with friends. We do like raid trains. So you be in the car all day for like 8-9 hours, just raid. Obviously, when remote raiding came in, it was a good raid boss. God, I was on it like a car bonnet. Literally was obsessed.
Giratina.
Yeah.
Giratina,
Giratina Origin. Finally got my hundo. But yeah, in general, I would say raiding. And to be honest, just catching Pokemon. I kind of just like sitting on a bus, going for a walk. I know that's, I don't know, can I say that? Is that allowed? I know it's the whole point of the game, but yeah. I just like raiding, and I just like catching Pokemon, quite simply. I'm not a fan of the tasks, definitely not the eggs. I think the friends list thing is just long. Obviously went through a period of loving GBL, but that's sort of a bit of a mess still at the moment. So yeah, I would say raiding and catching Pokemon are my two, if that's okay to say.
Yeah, perfect. Milo, what about you?
For me, it very much used to be raiding. We'll talk about maybe why it's not anymore later in the show.
Do we need sad violin music now, Milo?
This creaking sound effect or something, I don't know. But probably for me, it's there you go, that's a good one.
That's it.
I think the chase for a shiny, when a shiny drops from an event or is available maybe in your nest, or if it drops even in quests, the chase to try and get it for me is a very, very big amount of fuel on the fire and the desire for the game, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a big thing for anybody that plays this game quite a bit, is that I think you sort of see like a homogenized sort of interest in like the thrill of the shiny.
Yes, the thrill of the chase.
Yeah, everything else has just been so normalized that it's like, I'm really here for the shinies. Yeah. Mark, what about you? What are you up to in the game?
For me, I'm not going to do a Coops answer. I'm not going to give loads of aspects of the game. Sorry, Coops, get the dig in early. For me, the only two things I enjoy now in the game today is the daily incense. I'll put that on my lunchtime walk for 15 minutes. And, now with potentially the Master Ball coming in, if we do get that encounter, for those who still haven't got a Galarian bird, that could be quite exciting. And the second aspect that I love, and I will still do it, but unfortunately, sad times with the Sylph Road, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on that maybe a little bit later today. I used to love the nests, finding a nest, certainly for a Pokemon that I really needed, and just grinding a nest for a couple of hours. Almost, I used to do it and still do it now. We'll find them, and there's certainly a few that are local to me now, and I enjoy that aspect of it, the proper hunting for one type. Certainly, if there's a shiny potential there as well. But yeah, they're my two loves still, with all the other difficulties in the game, unfortunately.
There's been such a lack of emphasis on nests and stuff. I remember that was such a big thing that was focused on for like crowdsourcing information when the game was really fresh.
Yep.
I feel like if you asked anybody who started playing Go within, let's say, the last 2 years, what a nest was, I think 75% of them wouldn't be able to tell you that they were even a thing.
Probably right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because like those should be the thing that Niantic pushes. Like really hard to get people to go out and play. And they don't talk about them ever at all.
If there's a community hotspot there, if there's a nest, a park, go there.
But it is weird. I know what you're saying, because even with XL candy being dropped, nests kind of make sense. If you want to get an XL candy grind, it's weird. Yeah, I know
Drop
what you mean.
Mega.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they're not. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure we'll talk about Niantic at some point. I don't know.
No, we actually have a policy. We never talk about Niantic.
Oh,
this
okay.
podcast. No, not even once. No. Ian, what sort of player are you, or trainer are you, rather?
I'm probably very casual, if I'm honest with you. I do enjoy playing the game, and I do love the aspect of shiny hunting and raiding. It's the dynamic has changed now that we're back to primarily in-person raids, but things like raid days, like Coop said, there's nothing like a raid day. And I suppose what I'm kind of getting at is, for me, the game is about the community and spending time with people. There's nothing like actually just going around with a few friends, doing raids. Live in-person events are next level. For me, it boils down to the community, realistically, because everything else fits into that sort of a picture.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's the most important part, right? And if you've ever been to a live event, you like never look back. I know some people that play this 100%. Game and like Seattle was their first Go Fest, and they're like, I had no idea. I will go every year, like
Yeah.
It's the place this game shines the most. And not to get too into the weeds here, I suppose, but I am curious what everybody's least favorite aspect of Pokemon Go is right now. And this is a tough question to ask in a format that we would like to be constructive, right? But there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of feelings, opinions flying around right now, and I know all of us have them ourselves. So I actually want to start with Kyle, who I haven't asked specifically to give an input yet, but I feel like you could really set the tone for the rest of us.
Oh no.
No pressure,
Least
Kyle.
favorite aspect of Pokemon Go right now.
Least favorite aspect of Pokemon Go right now.
Carl, if it makes you feel better, bro, I'll go after you.
No, because there's low hanging fruit, and then there's ones you gotta really think about. So I'm gonna go with one that I don't think is low hanging fruit, but one that's personal for me. I think eggs are without a doubt the worst aspect of the game. My least favorite aspect of the game right now, which is a shame because they could be amazing if they were to like really hone in on that. But the emphasis on the rates, which like that's its own problem entirely, but Adventure Sync not even working when you're advertising stuff like that
Still
doesn't work properly. I don't know how many fixes I've gone through for my Adventure Sync. I've given up at this point. And like
iPhone, that might work.
No.
Yeah, are you on Android, Kyle?
Yeah.
That's your reason.
Exactly. That's right. I've been telling him for years, Ian. I've been telling him for years. Like,
I'm on Android, and Adventure Sync works fine, Kyle. So don't listen to them.
See, it's just some people it works, some people it doesn't. I don't understand.
Yeah,
but anyways,
I don't wish to be spoken. I live stream on Android, and it works fine for me as well.
Yeah. Eggs, least favorite aspect, no doubt.
that's fine. Even if it hurts me to hear you say it, that's fine. Yeah. Well, Coop's volunteered, so why don't you go ahead?
I wasn't actually going to say eggs because it's really funny. Like years ago, I blocked them out.
What's an egg?
Yeah, I genuinely forget that it's actually people actually genuinely hatch eggs, and I actually think it's hilarious because I used to all of the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of forget it's a feature, but I kind of have to agree, and I feel like that already gives me my answer. The fact I've just blocked them out of my brain.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
it must be that horrendous. So I wasn't actually going to say that, but yeah, thanks, Carl. I'm actually going to say eggs. They are really horrendous, really bad.
Man, guys, this is rude. I regret this question now. I mean, I can't disagree with you as somebody who loves eggs. They're problematic, and Well, we'll talk about it. The instinctive event was not what I thought it was going to be. I don't think it was what I thought it was going to be.
Look at Milo like rubbing his face. He's so over it. He's like,
well, Milo, go ahead. Roll with that energy. What are you upset with right now?
You might be quite happy with my answer because I won't say eggs. I just abuse myself with the eggs in the game.
I thought you were just going to say you abuse yourself and leave it at that.
Shut up, Ian. I take the egg grind. I take the egg grind way too far that is necessary for the sake of content. But for me, and it's been the case ever since it was put in the game, I still don't like the thing as it is now. GBL, the PvP side
That's
of
fair.
things.
That's fair.
And it's even with all of the hilarious glitches and stuff at the moment, like there's never been a point where GBL has worked properly, but that's one thing. For me, it goes against the format of Pokemon Go. I like to go out, explore, meet up with people, and do that sort of thing. Whenever I'm doing GBL, I find myself sat inside on the sofa or whatever. For me, it feels quite an antisocial aspect of the game. So that's why I perhaps leave it alone. Also, it's long. It's really long.
Yeah.
You go, I've spent 20 minutes battling and I've got a Vulpix.
Yes.
Great. So yeah,
You can actually get legendaries
PvP.
now from encounters with GBL, but fine.
How many years do I have to wait for it? So yeah, for me, it's GBL and PvP.
I think that's a completely fair answer. I mean, I think current landscape aside, I feel like it just does not click for some people in the way that the rest of the game might appeal to, you know?
And but like on that same note though, when you put the community into PvP, like with an in-person Sylph Cup, it is a next level experience that is really great, I think.
So I've heard people talking about the
doesn't-
Sylph Cups and things, and it's like
Yeah.
it is a different vibe. And
Yeah.
we went to Worlds in 2022. Absolutely mega awesome thing to watch, people at the top of the game. I don't know.
But yeah, the
Just
format
me
in the
getting
game
involved with it
itself
now.
is
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's PvP more than GBL, isn't it? The Worlds thing.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
the same but different.
Yeah, but it also benefits from that live in-person vibe where it's just like you could just be standing in a crowded room with a bunch of Pokemon fans and it would make me happy, you know, like
Yeah, exactly. It's
it
kinda,
could be a non-air conditioned auditorium. I'd still have a great time, you know?
100%.
So, yeah. Ian, what about you?
There are a lot of things wrong with Pokemon Go at the moment. I wholeheartedly agree with Coops and Kyle, Eggs, Milo with the GBL. The thing that really kind of triggers me the most is, and it's really trivial and it's not that important, but we spend all week going through opening, doing research encounters, then you research breakthrough and you get something completely lame. It's get a Goomy or something. Yeah, or Parasect.
God.
Parasect, let's
Bro,
go.
I literally got a Parasect a few days ago. I wanted to shoot my phone.
Oh, man.
It could be so good. When it launched, we were getting legendaries for these encounters, and it's just gradually got worse and worse and worse. And there's just so many simple fixes Niantic could put into place if they really wanted to. But the research breakthroughs, it's not even worth doing these research breakthroughs anymore. Genuinely.
true.
Yeah, if I could take the stamp away.
Yes.
Yes, like
So
can
you
I
don't
have
lose-
7 empty slots?
Yeah.
No, it's very strange because I mean I think the idea behind the change from it having been like a legendary or a chance at some rarer Pokemon instead of a pool of like medium uncommon Pokemon, and the one rare can't even be shiny, right? For Goomy,
Oh,
it's like a game economy question, right? But it's really weird to see like where that argument is cherry picked from their side, like. Why focus on this one particular thing? I don't think one legendary a week is a big deal, especially for people that are rural, right? It's for them more or less.
Yeah.
It's odd stuff. Mark, what about you? What are you thinking about?
Do you know what? Even if they put the Regis into that weekly research, you wouldn't mind it, would you?
You're not selling it.
It would still be better.
It
would still be better.
Instead, I don't know.
No.
So let's just sit around the table at night and say, what are the worst Pokemon we could put in the research breakthroughs next quarter?
We're
I'll be
going to
honest.
find out in a couple weeks, I suppose.
next season.
I'll be honest, I don't know about you lot, but I'd much rather a fur-through over a Giratina Origin.
Yeah, I mean, fur-through. I'd take a shiny fur-through. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Mark.
the shiny chance should be like increased or something. That would work.
You'd hope so. It'd be nice.
Well, yeah, waiting 7 days. Jeez.
True.
7 days for a Gumi, absolutely. But no, I mean, all very good answers and all answers that resonate with me very, very much so as well. And I think, the PvP element of it when you're in it, like, so you could be in a room full of Pokemon people and it just feels amazing, doesn't it? It's a party anyway. I mean, you put that into it and then you can't but be engaged with it because it's something which is really exciting. And you imagine that's what people feel like, but in isolation, playing it on their own. You're trying to recreate that. I think maybe if you could have like battles, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We're just about research breakthrough awards being awful, but they could almost create that within the game and not have leagues, competitions. But there's loads of stuff we've got to do right before we get to that level with it. Mine's probably more trivial than yours, Ian, actually. And I'll just take a step back from your weekly research. I'd go some of these event research tasks. Battle in a gym for 3 potions.
It's painful.
Yeah.
75% of them could be thrown out. And
Pokemon 5 times.
You could not even give me a research from a task, and I'd probably be happier than getting 7 super effective attacks for.
It makes such a good
raspberry.
point, though, because I noticed this recently. When you pick up a task and it's got berries as the reward, throw it away. It's when you've got the ones that are the same task, the same thing to do. And I saw make an excellent throw for 3 Ultra Balls or 2 pineapple berries. What? How are they same value?
Yeah, you should really be able to like mulligan each task like once, and then just give me a random another one. I might still throw this out, but like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a trivial one, Chris, but I think it's easy. As Kyle said, there's some very low hanging fruit, and we don't want to be predictable with it. Let's maybe look at it from a slightly different perspective.
No, I feel like people. I don't know. It's not like tasks are like a core thing and people always talk about them, but I don't think people are very critical about them in like a meaningful way. They're usually like, oh, this task is like not worth it. And that's really kind of the end of that conversation. Not why is this here in the first place?
Who chose it?
Exactly. Got to figure out the cause instead of just throwing out the symptoms of the problem. Right. So I don't know. But I do have one more question for each of you, and it's
Chris. You didn't give your answer.
Oh, my least favorite.
You gotta give one.
It's not
I've
escaping.
just been coasting, agreeing with everybody else, except for the egg thing, I suppose. I think the act of rating itself, Kyle and I have talked about this in the past. I think the act of rating itself is really boring. And I think it's great to do with, just tapping without even looking so that you can talk to other people. But I would love for there to be just a little bit more, just more mechanics, something,
That had been my second answer. So
yeah.
Can I tell my frustrating story here? It fits.
Oh, please.
Yes. I left work on Friday, I think it was, and I'm like, I'm gonna go spin some Pokestops before my way home because needed Pokeballs. And it's like 8:45. I was driving around. I got a remote raid invite for a Tapu Fini, and I'm like, I haven't done a remote raid outside of Cleavor in 2 months. So I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do it. Whatever. I parked the car, sat there, did it. It was only 4 of us in the raid, so it was a slow raid. It took us 3.5 minutes plus loading time. So that's another 90 seconds or whatever loading. Click through 14 Premier Balls. Did not catch it. As it ran away, it's just like 11 of them were excellent throws. So I was actually hitting it. And I sat there and I looked at the clock and I'm like, that was 9 minutes of my time. And I have
never get
3 rare candies to show for my $1.95 that I spent. Well, I'd already spent the money, but still. And that's my frustration with Go right now. That right there. It's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah.
This game economy, Kyle, haven't you heard?
Game economy.
I was so done that I'm like, I'm not even going to spend any more stops. I'm going home. I'm done. That's it. I
Game
just, like,
off.
it killed my vibe right there.
Oh man, I'm sorry. That stinks.
Carl, don't Carl, don't worry about the 9 minutes. Just worry about the last 5 years, mate.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, where is this ship going? Yeah, we just don't know. Not anymore. My next question for everybody is favorite Pokemon, and just really briefly, like your history with the franchise. So when did you get involved with Pokemon to begin with? And since we've had Mark last several times, why don't we start with Mark?
Oh, I like that. I'll give a Coops answer that. I've done that twice now. Sorry, Coops. I'm leaving it at that. That's what I got. That's what I got. Now, I started off very much. I loved Pokemon, but more for TCG for me. I loved collecting the Pokemon cards when I was younger. I did flirt a little bit with Pokemon Red in its infancy at the very beginning, but I very much didn't play any Pokemon games until Pokemon Go came out, and I loved the whole concept of the AR. It took gaming to another level, because when I think back to some of the mobile games I used to play, this just knocked it out the park. That thing about getting out there and almost reminiscing with my childhood through the Pokemon game in the real world, that for me was the big bit. And it was great because Pokemon Red, start with Kanto in it. It was all very easy to relate to it. I didn't know a lot of the later generations though, so I found I was learning them as Pokemon Go was evolving, and my fond memory was when they started dropping Gen 2 suddenly into the game, and everyone was like, "Oh God!" But it was just amazing. I'd love to have a moment like that again with the game. Actually, I think that's probably another thing it's missing. It's just something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like a big drop of new Pokemon. But I know we're getting towards that. We're getting to the other end of it now.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Go. Since I got into creating content, I wanted to have a go at streaming, so I did get a Switch and flirt a bit with Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and the Pikachu. It was the Eevee version I went with, but again, I didn't enjoy it that much. I enjoyed the concept of it, but I think with my time and how much time I have available for it, I think Pokemon Go complements the free time pretty well, because you can do it with other things. I just haven't got that time to sit down and play a game on its own. It sort of allows that. But favourite Pokemon, I've just got a soft spot for Gengar. Gengar's my favourite Pokemon. It's kick-ass. It's just looks pretty. It's an awesome design, and doesn't matter if it's a glass cannon. Mega Gengar looks amazing.
Glass cannon.
It's true.
Yeah.
Proper raid lingo.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
But no, Gengar for me. Gengar's my favourite Pokemon. Definitely Gengar.
I don't think you'll find an argument in this group of people against that. So, great. Why don't we have Ian go next?
So, I played Pokemon Blue back in the day. So, Kanto was always very familiar. I remember when the cartoon was released, I was working in retail at the time, and they always put it on the TVs on the weekend. So I remember seeing the cartoon, and some of my friends were just like running around going, "Oh, Jigglypuff," and that sort of thing, which was... I think... So there were a lot of sort of things, even though I didn't pay massive attention to it, that it was always in the zeitgeist. Didn't really majorly focus on further generations until Go came out. And day one UK player, because we did get it slightly later than you guys in the States. So day one player, and I am one of the few people that has never taken a break from Pokemon Go. I've literally played it every day since release, with the exception of when I was in Cuba and couldn't play it, which was 10 days where I actually couldn't even log into it, but played it every single day since release.
Did you go into withdrawal during those 10 days?
You'd think I did. And for the first 2 days, it's like coming off some sort of drug.
Sure.
But after that, you don't even think about it. That muscle reflex, you can't do it. It's gone. But as soon as I landed back at Gatwick in the UK, the game was on and I was checking again. It's kind of like,
What have I missed?
straight back into the habit.
Yeah.
Hello, old friend.
But it's actually nice when you can't play it, because you don't have that temptation. In terms of favourite mon, it's tough. I think originally it would have been Vaporeon, because I do love a water type, but later on down the road it kind of went to Kyogre. I kind of love Kyogre.
Love
Oh, okay.
Kyogre.
Yeah.
Kyogre gets a bunch of love. It's just a big old whale.
Mhm.
What's not to love? It's fair
Exactly.
enough. Yeah. Great. All right, Milo, what about you?
I started with Pokemon Go. I'd never played the main series games, never even been into Pokemon at all. I had family members and cousins, etc., who were into Pokemon while I was growing up. And despite being as old as Pokemon is itself practically, just never really got into it until some of my uni friends. I had a weird section of time between my second and third year where I had 6 months kind of spare. I was like, everyone was playing Pokemon Go. So downloaded, and that's sort of where, my love of Pokemon actually became a thing. And much like Ian, I've never had a day off. I never took a break from the game. I have fond memories when they did, I think it was a Kanto starter event in January 2017, and I was in Tenerife, and I was like, ooh, there's Charmander everywhere. Yay. But yeah, just absolutely fallen in love with the game here, and did pick up Pokemon Violet at long last. Was my first main series game.
Really? Wow.
But as sort of Mark mentioned, I don't know, I just didn't vibe with the sitting down. Like, as I've sort of got older, I don't like to sit down and play video games as much. And the whole format of Pokemon Go really, really gels with me, getting out there, walking around and exploring, etc., wherever you go. So that's my sort of input on Pokemon Go and the franchise as a whole. Favorite Pokemon is Trico. Got to be Trico.
Okay.
Big fan of geckos and the different patterns and species, but it's also got a 6 shiny. The shiny is my favorite type of blue.
Yeah. It does.
Just fabulous.
And the red tail and everything too. It's a good shiny.
Shiny is good.
And then you go up to Mega Sceptile, and it's like, ooh, nice.
Yeah, Mega Sceptile is awesome.
Milo, what was that?
Yeah.
You're like,
Nice.
I was thinking the same thing, Mark, but is he all right?
just having a moment over here.
I feel sorry for the slack off there, Milo.
Look, it's a very close second. Okay.
All right, Coops, you're next up.
Yeah, no, sorry to the lads because I've mentioned this story a few times. Yeah, so growing up when I was a lot younger, got like a purple Game Boy Color for Christmas. Literally obsessed with Pokemon Silver and Pokemon Gold. Just crazy when you think, as if that's what I used to play. I used to get this game, slot it in the back, and it's crazy how times have changed. But yes, I was obsessed with that. And then those were kind of like my first ever Pokemon games, especially Silver, because I just really loved Lugia way more than Ho-Oh. And then, from then, I think a few years later, I think I then dabbled in the blue. Was it Yellow and Pikachu used to follow behind you? Was that Yellow?
Yeah.
Yellow, yeah.
Yeah, and Red, you dabbled with those. And to be honest, that was kind of really it. It was the Game Boy Color, Red, Blue, Yellow, Silver and Gold. Just used to sort of play those. So like the boy said, Kanto and Johto was kind of really all I knew. And then sort of never ever thought about Pokemon ever again for like years and years and years, for like 10 years. And then, and saying that though, every so often, like if I was like, like 20 years old and I'd be like going on a long flight to Australia, I can't lie, I would get the Game Boy Color out the loft. I can't lie, I'll be honest. And you see that. Yeah. But yeah, in general, that was it. And then Go came out, as all the boys have said, and that was it. I don't think I started it straight away, but I think I started it a few weeks or a few months afterwards, and the literal addiction from day one. As I said earlier, addicted probably from 2016 all the way to realistically sort of 2020. To the point I even started a little YouTube channel and we started the podcast. And yeah, that's kind of really it. I've played the Switch, the Let's Go Eevee and is it Shining Pearl and the Diamond? Is it?
Yeah.
So I've played those, but not. I've just played it, completed it, got to the end, battled the gym leaders, and that's kind of it. So it's never been like a thing. So yes, that's me in the franchise.
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. A lot of people didn't finish those.
Really?
Yeah. Did you beat Cynthia, the champion?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I've got my Switch.
Well, because
Cynthia
in those games in particular was very difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, really? No, I'll let you know. The Switch is in my drawer here, so I'll let you know by the end.
We're just saying it's kind of a flex. That's all we're saying.
Sorry, Cynthia. Yes, beat her like 9 times. Yeah.
In a row without healing. That's right. Perfect.
With one Pokemon.
Coop was like, completed, mate.
Yeah,
completed, mate.
Yeah, no, sorry, God, yeah, that was, I can't remember. This is me, so probably no.
We're gonna assume yes as a group. I think that's what
Yeah.
we're gonna do.
Yeah, let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And favorite Pokemon?
Oh God, the boys are probably
Guillotine Origin. Yeah.
Flabibi.
I'm actually surprised Martin didn't pick Swaddle.
Oh, close second, Ian. Close second.
Swaddle's a good Pokemon.
I remember when I was on Lured Up like years ago, and the guys asked me this,
Ooh,
and
thanks.
we've all been on it. Relax. And they asked. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't really have one, but for the purposes of the show, the boys, I'll say Giratina Origin. For why not?
My man, though. Love Giratina. Oh man.
Yeah, it's true. We say Giratina around these parts, though. I'll have
Oh,
you know.
so sorry. Cut me out. I'll do it again. So yeah, Giratina O for sure.
Perfect. No one will even notice. Yeah. Cool. All right. That went for a little bit longer than I had originally thought, but this is just so great. I love hanging out with you guys. So I did have a few topics. We already kind of touched on a few of them already. And quite honestly, if we didn't watch ourselves, I'm sure we could probably talk about these 3 particular questions that I have for a long time, because it's kind of what everybody's talking about. And the first one is, as somebody might have probably guessed, the remote raid pass changes and how they've affected your local and online communities. And it's interesting because the 4 of you make content aside from the podcast. So you have both in-person communities and online communities. So you can really talk about this more than we probably can, because we usually just interact with our global community on our Discord server for patrons, right? And we do some meetups, but those are really people will come out to a destination, right? So it's not the same sort of thing. And so I'm kind of dying to know, now that there's been some time that's passed, how has this like shook out for all of you, I suppose? So whoever really wants to go first, I'm just going to throw this one at Milo.
Chris, let Whitfield go first, because he's just going to burst otherwise.
All right.
I'll try not to. The remote raid thing, I thought it would have sparked a bit more activity in my local community chats and things like that, but it really hasn't. We haven't had any more people. In fact, more people have fundamentally shut the game down and stopped playing entirely, and reading people's messages saying, I'm not picking up the game again until they bring the price down or remove the limit or something like that. We've had a very like core knit group of people who are kind of like the diehards, essentially. There were maybe like 8 of us who are always out for raid hour, always out for spotlight hour, etc. Even some of them, you know, we've got the raid rotations, you know, maybe a raid boss in for 2 weeks. It may sometimes just be me for a raid boss going around for raid hour. And the community here was built on raids. You know, back in 2017 and 18, we had, 100 plus people who would go around for raid hour sometimes. Maybe even more if it was a raid day sort of thing. So it's not sparked the interest for in-person raiding. And my online community is suffering real badly, because people would go there. The fundamental thing of the online community was to provide that sort of safety net if people couldn't get access to in-person raids themselves, or didn't have a community to help them out. And they're stumped, really. They don't have the capacity. A lot of people, I think, it's the financial hit with the rise in price. Maybe they're okay with the 5 per day, but they can't afford it. So both forms of community are suffering from what I've seen on my end, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's probably true of most people that are in, your position, our position, that, is content creating sort of like, we're customer facing in a way, right? Because what we do is consumed by people that are also consuming the game. So those sort of opinions and things sort of carry over. It's been the same for us too. I will say really quick, our Discord used to have a very active remote raiding channel, and now people are still posting them every once in a while, but almost nobody is like, I'm down, because they have to think about it.
It's like 1 a day at most being posted. And it used to be like a dozen or more.
Yeah, it was a lot before.
It's the thing of posting is, but then getting people to engage. That's the problem. I've seen it so many times that people still fling invites out to each other, And that's the thing I feel guilty of the most is I see people throwing me invites, and back in the before the change, I would have been 100%. Yeah, I'll jump
Every
in.
time.
I know that
Every time.
I know that this person doesn't have, maybe too many people accessible, but actually, I think there's an issue if you fail the remote raid or something, you may actually lose one of your 5 a day, and you may be dropped down to 4. So having the numbers and that sort of certainty is a problem. But I'm actively ignoring invites, and I feel very bad for it. Genuinely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. That's all I'm going to say. honestly, I'm curious how everybody else feels about this. I mean, honestly, please feel free to just sort of chime in, because this is sort of a group conversation at this point. This is all affecting us equally. So, has anybody seen an increase in activity locally as a result, or no?
Silence is deafening.
I stopped using my local Discord, particularly because people were not using it very much, even with remote raids. So
yeah,
that says a lot.
Yeah, so I'll jump in, Chris, if that's all right, bro. So for me, it's just kind of pointless, isn't it? I feel like, and we've discussed this on the show plenty of times when this sort of kicked off. God, when was it? March, February time, and that type of era. Or was it April?
April
6th. It's been like 6 weeks.
Yeah. So it feels a lot longer. But the way that people used to play the game, I mentioned earlier, used to all meet up, used to have the group of friends, you'd go around in cars all day on a Saturday, all day on a Sunday. Life has changed, right? It's like an ex-partner, right? It used to be that we move on, life evolves, it changes, we adapt, and I feel like they're trying to get back with that sort of toxic ex. That's what it kind of feels like. And it's like, but people don't play the game like that anymore. You introduce these remote raids, you could do this, that, and the other. So, all I will say is from remote raiding, me and Milo, probably hundreds and hundreds a day, when something like Giratina Origin was out, it'll be amazing. And sometimes it takes you 400, 500, 600 raids to get a hundo. Sometimes it takes you 80, 90, 100 raids to get a shiny. So it's kind of like, the whole thing's pointless. Why am I going to waste money for the week, for the 10 days that Tapu Fini is out in raids? The raid passes are more expensive. People don't want to raid. Everyone's upset with it. People don't. I'm not just going to turn up to a gym in London, and
hope for the best.
Yeah, and hope for the best. There's no app to communicate with strangers around. There's no app in game to chat to people. There's literally nothing. It's so pointless. Whereas before, you could just sling out invites, and if it was a good raid boss, everybody on your friends list would join. Whereas now, like you said, the community is just everywhere with feelings and emotions. No one knows where anybody is, so it's just pointless. You could do your 5 remote raids a day for 7 days for the raid boss, but you might not even get a shiny. So what's the point? Why are you going to waste your time? Why are you going to waste your money? And like Carl said, at the end of the day, you don't even know if you're going to bloody catch it at the end of the day.
True.
You might. So it's just at the moment, there's just a lot going on. So like I've said, for me, it's definitely worse. There's been a worse impact for sure.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point about how the limit on it will just stop people that would have probably done 5 or 8 raids for a thing in a given day, because it's like, I can't grind this to where I want it to be, which is either max level because of the candy you have to get for it, or you're looking for the hundo.
Yeah.
So why would I even bother investing to begin with?
Exactly.
That's what me and Milo had a chat, and I was just like I wouldn't mind, if they change all this, and they said, but the XL candy now is 150. It'll be. I understand that, Whereas if they said now to get a hundo, it's not going to be 1 in 800. It's going to be 1 in 75. All they've done is they've made these changes, but they've done nothing. They've done nothing. The changes they've done, it doesn't make sense to the understanding of the game. It's so bizarre, so bizarre. But like I said, that's just my opinion on it. But
yeah, I mean, it does definitely at times feel like different. I mean, we already know that different teams are working on different aspects of this game, right? But it almost feels like there's very minimal cross communication, right? Because like we were saying before about game economy, it seems to be important for one thing and not even a thing that's considered for other aspects of the game. It's hard to follow, and that's really the problem, because we literally can't predict what's going to happen in this game next, right? Any other prevailing opinions about this? I think we're all kind of agreeing at this point, but yeah,
I think we are all on the same page. There's definitely been a drop in people taking part in remote raids, and there had to be. Obviously, they're capped, but people
Yeah.
aren't even jumping into lobbies anymore. But from what I'm seeing and hearing, people are more upset about the price increase than the actual cap itself. People aren't really too worried about the fact that it's 5. People are more grieved, I nearly swore then, more upset that it's now £2 a raid rather than like what it used to be £1 or $1. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is crazy. It's crazy. It's so expensive.
It is
Mad.
crazy.
I would just like to add to the record so you include it on your podcast, because this is a good omen, by the way, boys. So whilst we were talking, and I apologise for being slightly rude, I did get a shiny Eevee just now.
Let's go.
That was the Eevee that named our podcast.
Yes,
You got a shiny Eevee before that named our show.
I was patient and thought, I'm going to let this count because that seemed unprofessional, but I was very happy with that.
Oh, no.
No, I've done that in the middle of the show too, so don't worry about it.
Sometimes Kyle just leaves.
But no, it's the price. I think, as I say, it's one big aspect of it. It's certainly the price. I've never truly played raiding in a community for probably the last 4 years because I've moved around quite a lot. I haven't stayed in the same place, so I'm a very new to where I've moved now, and even like elite raids didn't have a presence for them. So that kind of shows you how difficult it probably is at the moment to try and engage with the local community. But all I can say is I agree with what the boys have said. I do recall the fond memories of raid days, raid hours, after work, bombing it at home, meeting up with 8-9 people, doing them all in the hour. But I did say this at the beginning when we had the pandemic. I said remote raiding is not the long-term vision for the game. This will eventually go.
Yeah.
And it hasn't gone yet, but it feels like we're kind of at this stage where it's probably going to become more and more grueling if you want to do it as part of it. It feels like that. So
yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty clear before when they were saying that the damage boost was going to go away, that they were already going to disadvantage remote raiders, right? And that was clear.
That's from day one. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that they maybe considered that we would build systems around that on our own and families and stuff, for lack of a better word, honestly, around this whole culture. And I think that was really just a big mistake. Yeah, we all knew things were going to get harder, but if you have 20 people are doing half damage, you can still do any raid. Like,
well, yeah, get enough people and you should be okay. And that's
right.
I thought that would be the first thing to go, because it's always a seasonal bonus for like the last 4 years or something, or 3 years. So it was like increased damage for remote raiders. Theoretically, that should have been the first thing to go.
Yeah.
But the remote raid thing, okay, you've nerfed it and you've massively whacked up the price. That's really annoying, and it's stuffed a lot of people who can't afford to even do the remote raids at this point. So raiding is out of the question for them, given it's a fundamental part of the game. That's quite sad.
Mm-hmm.
But the in-person experience, and we may have experienced this on Cleaver Raid Day, the rewards you get from in-person raids are still flat. Like when you go do an in-person legendary raid, it's like, you may get a rare XL candy. You think, May, I want 3 guaranteed, please. And yes, fine, you get the 3 guaranteed XL for the legendary in question. But I don't know, it's just still, there's not enough incentive to draw people out. And I've seen that. You know, when you see someone's journal with what they got from the in-person raid, and the only reaction is the laughing, crying face, say, you got 15 hyper potions and 3 golden razzes and a bit of dust, and that's it. You go, why would I turn up at a location when I could easily save the $1 and not do it?
For the same reason, Milo, why you buy Pokeballs in the shop.
Or is it 800 coins or something?
Hey, I'm guilty of doing that.
Chris.
No, you're not. No,
I've done it before. I'll tell you what, though. After the economy rebalance, air quotes, I have not done it.
I have done it one time in, what is it, 6 years?
I've bought a lot of Pokeballs.
It's expensive, man.
Never bought them.
I had a shiny staring me in the face, and I had no Pokeballs left on a community day.
Wow, that's different. That's different.
So
wait, no, on a community day.
On a community day.
it was literally, look, it was an old school community day. We had to have as many as possible back then. It was when we were like,
okay.
6 is a lot of shinies.
Yeah,
Not, I'm setting a goal for 35 now.
Yeah.
Was this Cyndaquil Day?
No, it was
Chikorita?
Chikorita. Yeah, it was Chikorita.
It was also the event where you caught like
I caught like
a million.
24 shinies.
Yeah, and that was unheard of at the time. And,
Yeah, it was.
Didn't you also have 3 shinies back to back?
Yeah.
What a legendary day.
I had to keep it going.
This purchase is becoming less and less credible by the second.
I know. I didn't say it was credible.
Isn't
I
it?
just said I only did it once. And I knew it was a problem then, too.
Incredible. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, yeah, I think we're all largely on the same page that wow, that didn't go well, did it? About the remote raid pass changes. And it is still not really shaken out that great. I mean, I think it'll be very telling at GoFest, right? And the sorts of things if they extend the number of remote raids that we can do and we'll see the sort of bonuses. A whole 10, just like Cleavor. Wow, that was great.
5 photo bombs.
But I think it will be really telling once we have like the bonuses for the events and we'll see what their attitude and action is around things like remote raids. They might show their hand a little bit more, but unfortunately we don't have those details quite yet. But with all this happening, I mean, raiding is not the only thing that we do. Coops was saying earlier that one of his favorite ways to play the game is to just catch Pokemon, go for a walk, catch some Pokemon. And that has been largely untouched and spared from a remote raid massacre or something close to it. And so how has this really sort of changed the way that you feel about Pokemon Go? You know, has this one thing ruined the rest of it, or is the rest of it still just as enjoyable and you're okay with it? You just don't raid as much anymore. Why don't we start with Ian on this one?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, Chris. It's easy to let one aspect of the game ruin something else for you, but this game can be played in many different ways. So you're only really cutting your nose off to spite your face if you like still bent out of shape about the remote raiding, and then it's taking away from your enjoyment of a community day or of a shiny grind or GBL. If there's something that you enjoy in the game, realistically, why are you going to let your experience be ruined? So it hasn't for me. I wouldn't say that, and yes, I'm not happy with the remote raid nerf one little bit, but I've come to terms with it, and I think now after 6 weeks, it's obvious that it's not going to be changed back. We're not going to get a response. We kind of need to adjust to the reality of where the game is.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's a few other things that are happening, like catch rates being hidden in the game code. So there's a lot more changes potentially going to be coming down the road. Master Ball, anybody? Mm-hmm. So going back to the original question, this turned into a bit of a Coops answer. No, it hasn't.
Really?
I still enjoy the game for what it is. I would say I have become somewhat more casual since the beginning of April, not playing it as heavily as I have done in the past, but I still enjoy playing the game, and nothing's taken away from that. Come GoFest, I'll still be in London, I'll still be in New York, and I'll still be doing the global. I'm not going to let other aspects ruin my experience of the game.
I think that's a great, healthy answer. You know, it's kind of weird because I feel like people are like, "Oh, you have a very strong opinion about remote raids, then why are you still playing the game?" And it's like that's not the whole picture. You know, like that's just not a fair assessment. So, yeah, I agree, 100%. Who else has got a good answer for this question? Anybody have their gameplay changed at all? Coops, has this affected the way you play at all? I know you were pretty much just saying like, yeah, I don't play all that much, and when I do, it's mostly by myself, but.
So for me, mate, I'm really lucky because back in the day, I feel like I didn't realize, and we've had a bit of banter on this on the Incensed podcast. I didn't realize the foundation that I'd sort of set up for myself. Like I'll look back now and like there'll be a Pokemon that's been in like 2 events, but I've got like 500 XL candy, and I'm like, oh my god, I must have grinded that when that came out like 2 years ago, or whatever. So I'm really lucky that in my addicted days, I set up a really great foundation. Obviously played it too much, but I set up a really great foundation where I cannot play for a few months and it kind of makes no difference to my account. Like I can go casual and it kind of like makes no difference, if that kind of makes sense. So when my gameplay over the last 2 years has gone from 8-9 hours a day down to 8-9 days in a row not turning the game on. But that's just personal issues. That's just new relationship, new career. Just I've just got older. I've just changed. Me and my life's just changed. But I'm really lucky that when I do play it, I have a really great time because I've got the dust, I've got the Pokemon for the GBL, I've got a lot. Like I said, my foundation's been great. So when I do go to Ealing and we have a little community day with the boys, or we meet up for GoFest, or which we're going to in London, and we have these great weekends, Pokemon Worlds, I will still be there and I will still be catching and thoroughly enjoying the game. But apologies, it's kind of been like a 2-year slope for me, so I can't really give you a sort of solid answer on that, if that's fair to say.
No, I think that goes to great length of illustrating the fact that this doesn't affect everybody.
Yeah.
There's some people just don't raid, and they're just like, "What are you guys so mad about?"
Yeah.
And also, going back to the average player, I don't think any of the 6 of us are an average player. We said before, we're all level 50. We are in that upper sort of percentile of people that are playing it, and we do play a lot differently to somebody that turns their phone on for half an hour a day, like the pseudo coops.
That's right.
Someone's going to be upset out there, so I have to cut off the pass. I'm not level 50. Just going to be the odd man out.
Right.
No, I refuse to grind out like another 70 million experience. Not happening. It'll happen very casually. That's how it happens.
Kyle, have I ever told you how embarrassing that is?
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. I'm happy to be an embarrassment to everybody else around me.
You can shame me for
Kyle.
Pokeballs. Yeah.
And do you know why I didn't know that Kyle's not level 50? It's because he never opens gifts. He's worse than Milo.
I've opened a few gifts from Coops. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I think I have.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coops.
I'll be like
Coops.
great
One.
friends +2
Yeah.
or something.
I like to think I ignore all of you equally. So
Thanks,
So
Chris.
this, Kyle and I aren't even great friends. We met at Seattle.
oh my god.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good commentary too. That like none of us are really all that casual, but because we're all playing for different sorts of things. So Milo, I mean, you play for content, right? You were just talking about how you hatch eggs and all that. So has this sort of affected that and your content, I guess, by extension?
In some ways, yes. Like, I would have been really good to say go for a mega grind of raids and just raid for an entire day and see what you get. But when it comes to the other aspects of the game, absolutely not. It's still very much like if there's a new shiny to hunt, go out and grind it to all hell. Quest hunting. I know we joked about the quests earlier, but if there's something good in it,
You
I'll
want
give
those
it a go.
pineapples, mate?
Need the pineapple berries. How many pineapples can you get in half an hour?
There goes next video idea.
Dead.
He will.
They will.
Or failing miserably to hatch anything out of eggs continuously. I'll still very much go for the other aspects of the game, apart from the GBL, obviously. But the thing that's noticeable is the empty space where you might have had a remote raid. And that is very noticeable. And also just maybe you would have bumped into people if there was, something good out, like the Shiny Drillbur for Sustainability Week in April. I'm sure there would be more people from my community out even on their lunch break doing bits and pieces, but because of the way everybody feels at the moment, a lot more people in the communities are less inclined to even partake in other aspects of the game. So that's it. Noticing maybe less people and the empty space between the grinds. Like when I'm editing the podcast, that used to be raid sesh. That used to be sit down, remote raid for whatever it is, like 10 plus hours while editing the show. Now the game's off. And
That's why
I work faster.
Yeah.
I work faster.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When I was editing, I used to just accept pretty much any remote raid.
Exactly.
But now I've substituted with just catching up on Pokemon Go Twitter drama. Which I think is,
let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Not short off.
So there's a whole lot of that out. Yeah, it's like you're 12 seasons behind a show and you just found it almost constantly. Yeah. But yeah, Mark, what about you? Has this affected the way you play the game at all?
I'd just like to say for the listeners to this show, GOCast Kyle has just sent me a gift in Pokemon Go.
I'm going through all my gifts right now.
Oh my God.
I just had the notification pop up on my phone. I'm like,
Oh, now
bless
the
you, Kyle.
notifications work. They work like 50% of the time.
Have you
hold
evolved your
on.
Larvesta yet? And
No.
still evolved a
Oh my God. Don't even talk to me. I've got 4 more eggs to hatch. They could be a Larvesta. You never know.
Oh my gosh.
Casuals always win.
Exactly. I've just had notifications saying it's Swine Up Classic Community Day as well. Oh no, that's been, hasn't it? When was that? That was last month.
3 weeks ago.
No, I mean, for me, great question, and I love the game. I do love the game, but has it impacted the way I play it now? Yeah, it has actually, and I play the game mainly on my own. So I've never, since we've moved around, and that is just the nature of it. I've got myself, certainly during the pandemic, in that headspace where I quite enjoyed just putting some podcast on, some music on, and just playing the game on my own. And I do find that because of that, I've probably hardwired the way I play it. It's changed quite a lot. And I've recognised that certainly in the last sort of 6 months. I've really sort of realised that I'm not going to change necessarily the sort of events during the week, because we all work, we're all working people. This is something to do to keep us entertained, give us that work-life mixture, balance, whatever you want to call it. But I have found now I've got more of a passion to make more of an effort for community days. Like the last couple, be down to Ealing, and me and Ian have met up, and actually I'm enjoying that aspect more, because it's something in the past I would have done before the pandemic all the time without thinking about it. But having quite a period of time away from it, it's made me realise that actually the in-person bit is what this game is all about. I don't play the game much at all now. I know of the events. I'll complete the events. I'm a collector. I like to do events, get them on the list, but I haven't grinded an event for a very long time. I like Ian and Milo, not full time, far from it, but I do like to create content. If I go away and see different places, I've always been someone who likes to capture the place I'm going and the game as part of it, and I still do that because it's a memory, and I've got a passion for travelling, so I'm going to incorporate that more in the future. But yeah, in terms of the game, it has changed a lot. It really has. I think raiding now is a treat, the way I look at it. So, don't get me wrong, people do still send raids. I do still get the orange bar lighting up. And there are still a lot of people raiding certain ones, but that might be because they've decided it's a treat for me this week. I'm going to do maybe a raid or two. But some of the numbers I used to do on raiding, when we didn't have this limitation.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think any of us are under any illusion that they probably did some of us a favor.
I just asked you from GoFest.
Oh
That's
yes.
all I need to remember.
Oh yes.
300.
Gotta go apply for a loan.
Yveltal springs to mind immediately.
Yeah, I think we've all spent a lot on raiding. It's kind of a godsend in some ways.
A little bit.
It is. But you can't tell me what to do is the prevailing feeling. So, that's all right.
Seriously, the sass and toxicity you get on Twitter is crazy. It really is.
It is. It's insane.
And Facebook and Instagram.
As you keep saying, yes. Social media in general. Yeah.
All over social media. You look at Facebook, it's got lots of angry faces on the posts.
What's Facebook?
Yeah, I don't believe in Facebook.
Log into.
And it's for Instagram, it's great because I can just look at the picture and move on with my life. It's harder to do on Twitter because it's just a wall of text more often than not. So
it sucks you in.
Twitter's garbage.
It really does. Yeah, you keep saying
I can read it for about 2 minutes at a time now.
Have you put it in night mode? That might help.
Yes, no, it's just the garbage content that's posted on it. I follow a lot of Pokemon Go creators, and it's just, I'm like, what am I scrolling for right now?
And I can guarantee every time you log on, there's some sort of complainy comment at the top.
Every time. Mm-hmm. Well, 75% of the time.
Yeah, but that's because those complainy look at me sort of comments get the most interaction, and that's why. And that's
it's always the same people.
It is the same people. It's more of a commentary on our failure as a group of human beings than anything else, I suppose. Oh, geez. Yeah, but also speaking, I guess, of one more topic that was really kind of big, and I know that Fish and DeFi are going to be talking about this on PvP Corner in a much more meaningful, personal, and emotional way than Kyle and I can. But Sylph Road is shutting down. And this was really surprising for all of us. If you've been, even remotely more involved in this game than a casual level, you have seen, even if you don't battle, people know what Sylph Road is, because it's more than just the Sylph Cups that they would do. They had research teams, they had the Nest Atlas, they had a bunch of different things. And they are shuttering. And that was what they were saying in their post. And this has hit people in some sort of way. They're going to finish out the season for Sylph Cups and stuff like that. But after that, it's kind of just like whatever wants to run itself will run itself. And that means not the website.
Yeah.
That means the subreddit. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. That means not the PvP tournaments, none of the curated, none of the tools that exist currently.
Right. So it's been a core feature of the Pokemon Go community at large, because for the longest time, and we're talking like 95% of the game's life cycle, we've had to seek outside external ways to communicate, build communities, and accomplish things, right? And before there was even GBL, there was PvP matchmaking through Sylph to cover that gap that should not have been there, So them leaving, shutting down, all that sort of stuff can signal a lot to the individual Pokemon Go trainer. And so now I'm kind of curious how we all sort of feel about this, since this is pretty recent news. We've had maybe like a week to sort of have feelings about it. What do we think this means? Like, is this a greater commentary on the trajectory of the game, or do we think that the Sylph Road just sort of met its, natural end? I'm curious what everybody feels about this particular thing.
I think in terms of the community ambassador program, it gives me a bit of worry, to be honest, because that whole initiative was built using the peeps at Sylph. Like, that whole system was built using that format. They'd integrated into their own site. You build up your own community. We started doing it as soon as it was part of the ambassador program here in Ealing, but we'd used the tools for years and years. Not everybody got on board with it, but those who were intrigued at having, the traveler's card, the handshakes, the badges. It was a nice little collection tool sort of thing. But in the current state of where Pokemon Go is and the decisions that are being made, it doesn't give me a lot of hope. I'll say, just in the trust factor, I would say, because the ambassador program, we've talked with one or two people who are in London, and it's not exactly smooth sailing, even with the Sylph Road being a part of it. So with them gone, I'm not optimistic. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. I've actually not interacted with any community ambassadors. I have no idea what that program looks like. We've had groups in Chicago that were already kind of doing that sort of thing. Like, I think we had one of the largest Discord groups that, like, Niantic came down and talked to them when they were doing GoFest the first few times and stuff like that. I don't think that really the community ambassador program really caught on in that sort of way here, at least. So it's interesting to hear.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot that was a thing until Niantic came out and said, hey, this is still moving forward after Sylph's announcement. And I think it's a case of too little too late with their own ambassador program. They needed the ambassador program in 2019. That's when that needed to happen.
Yeah,
100%.
No one's gonna adapt it now because everyone's found what they think is a good enough option if they wanted to do that already.
Yeah, people have sourced their own way to build a community in a way. So nearly 7 years since the game, kind of missed the mark.
Agree. Yeah, and it kind of leaves a weird taste in the mouth when you're actively going to make this not a thing anymore so that you can do it yourself. It just feels very strange. I think, it's great that they're going to build out Campfire, but I don't think people are going to really leave Discord.
2019. It needed to be here then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also the thing of all the other tools that the Sylph Road provided. I remember back in the day, the Nests map was absolutely brilliant, absolutely key, and was constantly being updated. Tracking how much XP you've got and meeting other people and keeping that sort of connection going. There was so much more to Sylph Road than just the little community bits and pieces. So it's a shame. I think we're losing a lot more than we're potentially going to get back.
I think, Carl, when you said it's too little too late, Master Ball springs to mind as well. But in general, it's I think that's a really great phrase. And for me personally, just being honest, I know Chris, we might fall out about this. I'll be honest. I never used the Sylph Road. Just me personally in my Pokemon. I've never used it. I've never really used the website. I'm just that casual that goes, oh, where are we going today? We're going here. Okay, cool. Jump in the car, go to the park. But I can completely see, especially on social media, how much of an impact this has had. And I think this is a reflection on, how a lot of people are feeling. A lot of people are feeling demotivated. A lot of people are feeling that it's just too little too late. A lot of people are just kind of over it. A lot of people have moved on and they've been screaming out, we want this update, we want this. And it's just really sad. It is really, 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 really sad. I think it was kind of inevitable. But it's, it just brings me back to that. I think that's a really good thing to say, Carl, that too little too late. We all wanted this years ago and people are now just over it and their lives have changed and just move on. And they're just like, I can't do this anymore. If you guys aren't going to care, let's just say that word might be the wrong word, but if you lot don't care and you own the game, then why should I don't get paid for it. I don't get anything back from it, So I feel like it's obviously I don't personally know their relationship. I don't know if they were on a salary with Niantic. I don't know anything personal details like that, but I think like we said,
Sylph were sponsored by Niantic for the last year, but that has now come to an end, which is why they're closing the doors because of the funding.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a bit of a gut punch when I heard the news. I'm not going to lie, it was a shock because it's always been there. But I do feel that the Sylph Road was one of those things where it's there and you've got the reassurance it's there and they're giving you shiny rates, they're giving you odds, they're giving you information, they're doing all of the sort of groundwork and digging into things. But honestly, I think a lot of people probably very rarely used the resources that were there anyway. And I'm not being savage when I say that, but back in the early days, I did use the Nest maps. I did use that. There was a little thing where you could track all the different trainers that you'd met, like a little web that would build up.
Yeah.
And the Traveler Passport for community days and events, I did use those, but I've got to admit, since probably 2018, I haven't used any of those, and I've never taken part in a PvP tournament. So even though it was a shock and I'm going to miss them, I mean, I'm partly to blame. I never use the resources, and if people aren't using it, what is the point of them actually doing all of this work?
Yeah.
I think one of the things is that the biggest impact is in the PvP community, and if you don't take part, it's totally fair. It doesn't affect you. There's nothing wrong with that. But the grassroots PvP owes Sylph literally everything.
Yeah,
it basically would not exist without what Sylph did originally, and how easy they made it to host your own tournaments. It's incredibly easy. Like, we host tournaments through our Discord. I can't imagine how much more work it's going to be for our PvP guys and girls to do and host tournaments. It's going to be a nightmare until maybe another tool fills the gap, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, because there's certainly other entities out there, right? Like Ghost Stadium is still going to be going strong. So it's not like we won't have a similar presence in the space. I know people feel all sorts of ways about comparing the two or not, but it is inarguable that they're in the same space, right?
Yeah.
And so while that's true, all this infrastructure, all this familiarity around Sylph Cups and Sylph tournaments will still just be gone. And some people won't want to learn another system or move over because they have all of their wins in their trainer profile with all the Sylph sorts of things, right? Because there are people that are like, I only do Sylph Cups or I only do Ghost Stadium tournaments, and people that do both, obviously.
And equally, there'll be some people, like Kai was saying earlier, newer trainers, probably never heard of Sylph.
Yep.
And that's a whole nother thing, because there's so many people that have joined since back in 2020 that the player base has increased massively.
Yeah.
I think one thing about the Sylph Road shutting down that indicates is a danger for the hardcore community in general. I think it's an omen for that, but I think the game itself is largely unaffected. It sounds negative to say in that regard, but most people don't care about the Silph Road for who play the game. We got probably 100 million plus people who play Pokemon Go every week, 800,000 on the subreddit, and those numbers aren't even accurate. And it's like, but the people who really care about the game are there. They're the ones who put in that kind of effort. So when they're gone and it's only the people who play very casually, what is that going to say about the whole life cycle of the game?
Good point, because I mean it's the largest franchise in the world, so arguably it's not going anywhere. The whole game might change massively to a very casual game, but the Pokemon Company aren't a Niantic. They're not going to let the game just fizzle away and die. If people keep saying, "Oh, it'll be turned off in a few weeks, it'll be dead by the end of the year," but it may have changed massively, but it'll still be around in some shape or form.
What do we say, Ian? 2047? Is that what?
Yeah, Mark, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I used to use Silph Road and to look at their stats on shinies and rates. All I need to do now is watch a Milo vlog, and it can give me that information. So I think
Happy to provide.
So I think Milo's partly responsible for the demise of the Silph Road. No, I'm only joking.
That's harsh.
No, I mean, it was sad. It was really sad when I saw that. And ironically, in the new area that we've moved to, I found a nest in the area when we were going for a bit of a walk in a different area, and I found a nest. And immediately I was going, do you know what? I'm gonna log into Silph Road. I'm gonna post this because, as Ian rightly says, I'm part of the problem as well, because if you look at nests on there, there's no data on there.
No, nobody's doing it anymore.
No one's doing it anymore. If you drill into the area, certainly, like I said, the southwest of the UK where I live, the nearest place that's got a nest reported on there is about an hour and a half away. So, and I remember
Ealing.
yeah, Ealing,
yeah.
But I think I remember, like back in 2018, like if I was going up to Leeds to watch a football game, I would look on the Silph Road nest and go, actually, do you know what? That's 20 minutes away. I'll factor some time into my drive and I'll go there and I'll hunt it down, because why wouldn't you? But I think, as Kyle also said, this will impact a percentage. I don't want to put a small, a large, a medium, or whatever that looks like. It's going to impact a percentage of people. Definitely will. But when I saw the announcement, I just felt a bit sad about it. And I think the game has changed. The game's changed. The game's always evolving, but I think people's behaviours, and like as Ian said, new set of people are playing the game now in 2020, but have never used the Silph Road. And I do think that there's more fun ways of getting that information out, on YouTube and things like that. And I do joke, I'm messing around with what I said at the beginning, but I do think you can get that information a lot quicker presented in a different way. No, infographic.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Ian, infographics.
That's how we get the new. That's how we get like the new month now in the game. Yeah. They stopped doing the long ass
blogs.
Yeah,
blogs. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of missed the blogs, to be honest.
I do, but didn't you feel that they got a little bit complicated at one point, where you're scrolling down and you'd have to scroll left and right, and then you go into another page?
They did, but I think that was really just, it kind of came down to formatting problems. Things were just so inconsistent across the board. They're like, okay, this month we're having a feature where like this event is going to be really big about eggs or whatever, and then have a special egg pool broken out, and then they'd have it reiterated 2 or 3 different places in the blog post.
Yes.
That was the big problem for me personally. But okay, so the argument that, yes, this is really sad, but it's really only going to probably functionally affect a smaller portion of the player base is true, right? That's just true of how many people there are. But I think it's mostly representative of like the people that were willing to put in the effort, invest, and do the heavy lift that Niantic was not doing or chose not to do at the time. And those people becoming disenfranchised is like sirens going off in my head. That's why, like it could just be the 50,000 most dedicated Pokemon Go trainers, and I would still probably feel the same way, So yeah, it's just sad. I don't even PvP that much. I think I've done 1 Silph Cup in the past like 2 or 3 years, and it's just sad. It's just a bummer and a half. Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
So Yeah. Dear listener, if you have a friend that is a PvPer, make sure you check on them, because this is not a happy time for any of the PvPers in our lives.
Do you hear that, boys? Can you check on me, boys? Do you hear that?
I think even Pokemon Go put a post out the other day about checking in on friends, if I remember right.
Yeah, they did.
Social. Yeah.
They did. It's like, thanks. Okay, all right. Well, I don't want to end on a sore note, but thank you all for being so candid and open to talking about these kind of like hot topic issues right now. It's important to sort of get as many perspectives as we can as possible. But I do want to make sure that we all have set some goals before we all leave. So I want the four of you to set some goals, if you would. Kyle and I will set ours at the end of the show, but the four of you, not getting off easy. So who wants to set a goal? What are you working on currently? Do you want to set one for a week? That's what we normally do.
Is this about Pokemon Go? Is it? Yeah. Is it?
Hey, it can be whatever you want. It can be a Pokemon
Turn the game
Go,
on, Coops. Yeah.
Coops wants to turn the game on.
Yeah. There you go.
Thinking.
I think mine's going to be quite simple, actually. It's Community Day out on Sunday, Fennekin Community Day. So I am going to set the target here and now. I want a minimum of 18 shinies, which is quite casual, but I've got friends around, so I'm not going to be playing it as much as I normally would.
All right, great, cool. Milo?
50 shinies.
Yeah. Not with the plan I've got for Community Day. Ian, I'm playing one of my silly transfer games. I would like to be able to,
good.
If I can keep 15 shinies on Fennekin Com Day, I'd be happy. I don't know, the other thing...
Is this higher or lower, or are you doing a coin toss, or is it a new
higher
game?
or lower is the plan.
Okay.
Which should be good fun, because other people are going to choose. So it's up proper jeopardy. But
all right.
I would say max my Hundo Tapu Fini and get the XL, but I'm literally like 18 away. So with Radar, that's going to be difficult to fail.
I'll say you smart targets, Milo. Smart.
Yeah.
Just never fail. Never fail.
That's all right.
It all depends on what that next event is, to be honest. What's the event that's going to be at the end of May?
The Master Ball event.
Yeah, I know, but is there anything else to it? Like,
it's going to be Team Go Rocket, isn't it? It's going to be a Team Go Rocket event.
I want to see what's going on with that, and then maybe.
God, you are all answering like me tonight, aren't you? What's going on?
I know we're really curious what that's going to be, because it's going to be over our meetup weekend in Chicago.
Yeah, we're still waiting. We need those details.
We still have no idea. We have no idea.
Are you going to get another Mystic Hero event style thing with nothing happening?
You get a pretty Lapras. Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Can we all agree, by the way, that the Ponyta was the best one out of the three?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the most visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll settle for that answer. That's all.
Yeah.
I do have a soft spot for Lapras, though, but the
hair tie thing was like, I don't know, just not as...
It had the best accessory.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so anybody else want to set some goals? Mark?
It makes sense. Community Day makes sense, because otherwise I was going to set myself a goal of trying to get 2 Kecleon in the next week and try and chip away at this task. But when an event comes on, the Kecleon normally run away and hide even more so. So, I'm going to focus it around Community Day as well. I'm going to be playing it extremely rurally. I'm going back to a place I used to live again. I like those days when the weather's nice and you're out in the country. It's just nice being on your own, put a bit of music on and play it and chill out a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I am going to set myself a very ambitious target. I'm not going to be playing any games. I'm just going to be keeping whatever I catch. So my ambition is to have more shinies than Milo after Community Day.
Ooh, okay.
This will be interesting.
I like that. I like the sound of that. I like the energy
The
of
price,
that. That's
the
good.
Price is Right answer right there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Coops, the time has come. You've had extra time.
do you know what? Let me keep it on Fennekin Com Day. I'm with the missus. We're going out all day. But my aim for the week, I'm going to actually play it. I'm going to actually play it, and I'm going to catch 3 shiny Fennekin. And I'll be able to talk about it next week, and I'm excited because I can actually. I'm sorry, and I'll be excited because I'll actually be able to join in to a conversation for once. So,
Go for that.
What about you two? You can do them now or at the end?
You know what? We can probably do them now.
Yeah. Let's hear.
Oh, no!
All right.
Oh no!
All right. right, Kyle, if you need a second, I'll go first.
You can go first. I have to think about it for a second.
Okay, all right.
Resources.
Casuals get extra time.
Yeah.
30 shiny Fennekin, I think.
Okay.
And I'm still working for that Larvesta, so I'm just gonna keep hatching eggs. I always set probably a pretty blanket goal of like 50 eggs a week, so I will probably do that again. We'll see how well that goes.
What's the bonus?
It's Stardust, right?
Shut up, Chris.
Yes, it's triple dust. It's triple dust.
It's dust. All right, 500,000 Stardust
God.
as well.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, this is why I should have gone first.
I thought I was doing you a favor. Come
I know.
on.
I had the same question as you did. I'm gonna say probably 12 shinies. I'm not actually sure. I only have like an hour and a half to play because I have to go to work, so that's unfortunate. And what am I currently at? Okay, yeah, 300,000 Stardust, and I'm gonna say 500,000 experience because I'm gonna.
You're not 50.
I'm not 50. And gonna try and open some gifts to get that experience.
Should we all do that? You're not level 50?
You're not level 50?
That's okay. I wear that with pride.
Not level 50.
You could be level 50.
Y'all are
That's
level
right.
50?
I now, Kyle, how far away are you?
I'm 46, but I'm literally 70 million experience away from 50. So no.
By GoFest, then you're going to be level 50.
By GoFest, it would be like 1 million a week. So
That's
no.
doable.
It is doable, just not for me.
No,
Ian, you're so motivational, aren't you? I thought you were going to go, anyone else would have gone, that's not going to happen. But he's like, you can do it. You can.
It's possible.
2 million a week, I think, Kyle. For 70 million, there's only 52 weeks in a year, right? So
Yeah, you're right.
And we're already mostly there.
And how long until GoFest? I don't know.
Like 2.5 months,
like-
haven't we?
Yeah, 2.5 months.
Like
2 months.
18 weeks.
Yeah.
It's closer to
Okay,
3
this
million.
might be ambitious.
Yeah, the
On
numbers are
second
going
thought,
up.
you absolutely can do it, yeah.
So we're level 47, Kyle.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
so
about to
I mean, yes.
Did you?
See, here's the downside. I have to do like 14 more raids for the quest there, and I'm like, oh, I have to do the raids. But yeah,
Jeez, yeah.
I mean, no, it will be 47 before I go to New York for GoFest. That's definitely gonna happen. I'll set that as a long-term goal here. Does that help? Does that make everybody feel good?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, that's
all
good.
right.
We'll hold you to it.
We'll
more
check in
people will
with
hold
you in New
accountable.
York.
That's
Yes.
right, yeah.
Oh God.
Well done, Kyle. Well done taking a strong step forward in your Pokemon Go trainer career. That's great. All right. Well, we've gone through, if you can believe it, it's been 96 minutes of our recording so far, and we're only now about to hop into the news. Yo, what up? It's the news. Okay, we got 2 short news pieces here, and one is very weird. One is very weird. And I don't think any of us saw it coming, although we've made plenty of Master Ball jokes so far and references, but that's the second one. The first one is save the dates for season 11, a very exciting blog post. Let's see what it has to say. Trainers, now that the final community day of season 10, Rising Heroes, is behind us, and soon the season itself, thank goodness, we'd like to share next season's community day dates. I was so ready to be optimistic for Rising Heroes, everybody.
Oh, man.
I was. And I kept being like, oh, at least there's some good rate. Oh, no.
Nope.
It's kind of on the season of a Lola type level.
It was a season of endless disappointment.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's the season of, oh, sure. I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Saturday, June 10th, Sunday, July 9th. That'll be a Community Day Classic. Sunday, July 30th, and Sunday, August 13th. Those will be the Community Day and the one Community Day Classic date for this upcoming season. And community days aren't the only events on the horizon. Here are the dates for additional in-game events coming next season. Saturday, June 3rd, Saturday, July 22nd, and Saturday and Sunday, August 26th and 27th is going to be Pokemon Go Fest 2023 Global. I hope you didn't already forget. And then they had to, say at the end, stay tuned for more details about June Community Day and beyond. Safe to say we'll probably know like a few days at least before it happens, right? Just joking. They've been pretty good about the Community Day announcements.
Yeah, it's normally a few days after the previous one, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They do a good job with that. So, are there anybody out here's got a strong opinion or a strong prediction of what we're going to be seeing in these community days?
We know Axie is coming.
Actually, it's definitely June.
But I don't think
yeah?
it's June. I think they're going to make August massive.
Yeah,
And I think they're going
agreed.
to hold it for August.
No, they
Yeah,
can't. Like,
I think
that's Worlds.
that does. Look,
That's the
see,
weekend
there's
of
one thing.
Worlds.
There's one thing the Pokemon Company loves to do, and it's have everything that they ever have happen at the same time.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
true.
That is.
Yeah.
So August is apparently that time.
I will say the Com Day Classic will be Machop.
It won't, Coops. Give it
yes.
up.
Really won't.
Yes, give it payback. Let's go. It's finally happening.
I think we're
Like
overdue for
Ghastly?
another starter. I think it's a starter.
I think Ghastly should happen just because XL Candy didn't exist last
I
time
love
it
that
happened.
Kyle
So-
and Coops are both going, oh my God, 2020 Com Day Mons. Or the shop was even 2021. It's like, we haven't even got through 2018 stuff.
that doesn't
yet.
matter. It doesn't matter which one.
Nothing makes sense, Milo. Remember that?
I
It
know,
makes
I
sense.
know.
We said this
I've
earlier.
got a feeling, and it might be totally off base, but I've got a feeling Squirtle.
I think it could be because it was the same month. It was July 2018, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
God, a
Thinking back.
Squirtle. Oh no, thanks. Absolutely not.
It would be
What if they
Yeah.
brought back the sunglasses though for the community
exactly
day?
it'd be a
Would
quest
it-
hunt
Yes.
for the shine
Yep.
for the sunglasses.
Still
I don't think
care.
they do it. I'm just being honest. I don't think they'd bring the sunglasses back if they did it for classic.
They'll
but
forget
they
about
should.
We
Would
need
be a hum.
Cyndaquil for Community Classic.
I've wanted
And
Cyndaquil.
then
Chikorita for Kyle. Or
Oh,
was it
God.
Cyndaquil?
I'm like, I could actually skip this one.
they could release the Hisuian Typhlosion with the Community Classic.
Yes,
Ooh,
Yeah.
good.
that would be
That'd be
cool.
Dude,
great.
that would be
That'd be
good.
great. Yeah.
Actually, guess that's a good idea. They won't do that. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
exactly, right? Just like
Tornado again.
It's a good going there again.
Yeah, because they're going to release that as a raid day, aren't they? Let's face it.
Wait, so
I mean,
Chris,
probably.
do you want
Yeah.
Machop as well? Because the boys take the mickey out of me because I literally love Machop.
Oh,
And
I love Machop.
I
Machop's
love
great.
Machop. Machop's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't love it, Coops. It's the fact that Milo rightly said we've got 2018 and 2019 to work through.
And 2020.
I'm telling you, I don't think they're going in order. I think it's just happenstance.
Coops,
Yeah.
I will say the shiny is downright offensive. How bad it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not great. It's
But-
not great. But
It's
Machop
definitely-
is great.
Yeah, definitely one I want on the list for sure. But the boys are like, we want Beldum.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I mean, Beldum would be
is a good one.
great. I would
Yeah.
like to have Beldum too. So
Yeah.
I
That'd be a
would
good
love
combo, person.
Beldum or Bagan.
We're going to say bacon then.
I thought
Bacon. Oh, don't start me off.
Carter.
Bacon.
I'm
Oh,
not sure.
It's the shiny just char grilled.
yeah.
Do you know what?
Get a
I'd
nice
like
sizzle.
a
Even
bacon
tall.
sandwich. I was like, wait, what? I was like, what's going on?
Mm.
Bagon.
Bacon sandwich.
A Bagon lettuce tomato. Yeah.
Oh, BLT community night.
BLT. Get your BLT mega energy right now.
Yeah, no, I'm
I think
dead.
that's the episode name. For sure. I do have one question before we move on to the next piece of news. Is why are we so confident about Axew? Where did that come from?
Oh, it's the Gibble Dino format.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the thing. Over the last sort of 2 years, whatever the rare shiny was for the GoFest then gets its community day
Yeah,
in
they-
June the year after, and it's Gibble. Then it was Dino.
No,
Axew was the
yeah.
one that I raided too much for GoFest
yeah,
last
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this year, GoFest is going to feature Gumi. It's going to be
Gumi.
great.
Gumi. Yep.
year.
I'm telling you. I already told Chris this, I think, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we were saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
There's a pattern. It's about the only pattern you can follow, but it's there.
Yeah, we got to hold on to the patterns we actually have left. So,
Yes.
They're going to come back and say, June is Sir Waddle. Here you go.
no, great. Yeah, stick around for raids after the fact with Swadloon and 4-star
Brilliant.
raids. Oh my god. All right, awesome. Yep, so save those dates for season 11. The next news item here is like really out of left field. I don't think any of us saw this coming anytime soon, but at the same time, it still feels like it's very late. Why it didn't show up sooner? Never miss with the Master Ball. Trainers, in the course of your travels, you may have heard of the very best Pokeball with the ultimate level of performance, the Master Ball. When used, it will catch any Pokemon you encounter in Pokemon Go without fail, whether it be in the wild, through lure modules, after raid battles, or while using your daily adventure incense. I think they ended on that one because that's like the most practical use.
Yes.
Yeah, in the current. Yeah.
This powerful item will soon be available to all trainers in Pokemon Go. And what will you use it to catch? And then there's another little part of this. Essentially, it's saying that it is in the seasonal research. So if you have not been doing it, make sure you're caught up. I think we're on step 4 of 6, waiting for Professor Willow to come back to us.
Yeah,
He went AWOL really
tell
early.
us what's
left
good.
us hanging.
Yeah, we need to do a wellness check on Professor Willow. That's really, honestly. But it does say receiving a rare and powerful Master Ball is a special occasion. Think wisely about how you'll use it and keep a lookout for future opportunities in Pokemon Go to acquire more. So they have, confirmed more or less that we won't just be getting one. Although I do feel like most of us are going to hold on to it. Like we're only going to be getting one. So
Until you get your
That's
second
wise.
one.
I think that's wise.
Yeah, until we get a second one. Yeah.
So this is interesting. I'm kind of curious what everybody thinks about how this is going to work. What are you going to use it on? So Mark, why don't we start with you? How do you think this is going to kind of shake out, and what would you use it on?
I did see someone, I'm pleased someone put the comment, because I was thinking this immediately, was, what happens if it attacks as I throw it and I lose it?
So I saw that same complaint, and then I saw someone else comment. In Let's Go, the Master Ball doesn't even have a throw; it just catches it, like it plays an animation.
Yeah.
So that seems like a logical choice.
Yeah.
But when has Niantic been logical?
I was going to say, they won't have coded it right, so you throw it, you would lose it.
It'd be like,
dropping it, just like
Oh god!
no.
Oh my god!
Rain on the screen.
Like there's like there's a little drop of water on your screen.
Yes.
You go to do a curve.
Oh,
Yeah, rain on the screen, you throw it away.
Oh, so we can only hope that they have thought of that.
You're 2,000 raids down. You finally get your hundo.
No.
You're out on your adventure incense
no.
walk, and it's a Galarian bird, and you're sweating in one drop of sweat while you're doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, no.
Right in the way as your fingers going. It's like really slow motion moment in an anime.
It's the dunk.
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's going to be somebody in APAC that finds out this problem.
yes, Ian, absolutely. It'd be APAC. They'll report it straight away. It doesn't work.
It'll be
Thank you,
fixed by the time it
testers
gets
from
to
the
us.
land down under.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's long overdue. I think it is probably, it's almost something we've probably forgotten about in Pokemon Go, certainly. I mean, for us, I wouldn't say us all, but for people that probably just play Pokemon Go, it's another probably new item that some people might not even have been aware of. But for those who know how the game works, yeah, it's probably overdue now. What will I be using it on? It's going to be the one thing that I've encountered a few of, but I haven't caught one yet. It's going to be a Galarian bird.
Yeah.
But I think Gengar. But
Eccentric.
but I've said Sawaddle already. I've already said Sawaddle. But I will be controversial, boys, because
be careful, please.
I won't use it on a Galarian Zap. It will be an Articuno.
All right.
Probably the hardest one to throw on anyway.
Yeah.
So, I will probably be there sat there with my Master Ball watching Galarian Zapdos appear every flipping day.
Yep, there you go. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be the thing. It'll know. And you'll just, like, I've caught 3 Galarian Zapdos just naturally. I can't find the Articuno.
It's a great strategy.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Coops, what about you? When you use your one Master Ball on?
You, Chris. No. So,
All right. Let's go. That was really sweet. That's the nicest thing someone's ever said to me.
Thank you. So we can watch some musical theatre shows together. No.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, bro, I would like to say, I'm not going to go on a little rant again. Like Carl, too little, too late. We know that. Let's move on. I think it's fantastic. Honestly, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I've definitely mentioned this before on our show. I've mentioned it before when I used to create videos. I think a Master Ball would be a fantastic feature of the game. Because I've spoke to so many people and they've been like, man, I did like 300, 400, 500, 600 raids to encounter a Hundo Rayquaza and it ran. And I've always thought, God, not that it's unfair because that's RNG, it's how the game works, it's in the code, I get it, but it's still, when you listen to someone's story, you're still like, damn, bro, like that's that's a lot to hear. So I think it's fantastic. You can now use your 18, 19 balls, and on the last ball, if you don't catch it, you can use your master ball. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I am like Kyle, there will definitely be some sort of animation. There'll be no way that as soon as you click it, it will just catch it. There's no way you can drop a ball. I mean, I say no way, let's wait and see. But I will be horrified if Niantic let you drop a ball.
Oh my god,
that'd be. Ooh.
Oh, but for me, I don't really know why people care about catching a 3, 10, 8 Galarian Zapdos. I really don't get that at all. So I definitely won't be using mine. I know that's controversial, but I think I've used my daily incense less than 5 times. I don't understand the point of it. But apart from that,
Casuals vibing.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, I just got a Galarian Articuno," and it's like 416. I'm like, okay, and what? Anyway,
but then you look to trade it.
Huh?
You just look to trade it in.
There you get 12.
Yeah, you got to find somebody else who has one.
That's perfect.
Perfect. It's perfect. 12. No, honestly, I think as a feature, I think it's brilliant, and I just hope that they don't give you one sort of like once every like 10 months or something. It would be really lovely to maybe get like one a month or one. It would be fantastic. But no, I think the features, honestly, I think it's perfect. I really do.
Yeah, it'd just be nice if we knew what the cadence was going to be about how we could expect them so we could plan around them. That'd be kind of nice. But I think for that reason we won't. So it's more of a surprise probably. Milo, any thoughts about Master Ball?
A couple.
All right.
First as a warning, treat this like Cosmog. Remember in the Season of Light, they said, don't worry, you'll be able to find another Cosmog in the distant future.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're somewhat into the distant future. How much further do we have to go before X, Y, Z or Cosmog appear? So treat that you may only get one Master Ball a year, which is fine. It's a super rare item, but don't be optimistic about getting loads of them. 10 months, all right, whatever the casual goes and says. Sure. But don't expect them that often. Yes, you can utilize it on a Galarian bird. I'm personally just going to save mine. Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what other people who are sort of hardcore players think about it, because maybe a wild Shundo might be a bit more of a play for it. Because if a shiny legendary is still a guaranteed catch, there's no point in using it. That given we've had all of the bits and pieces about the catch rates being altered or hidden or something like that.
If it's still a thing.
Are the catch rates of shiny legendaries no longer going to be a guarantee? We'll have to see. I've had 1 or 2 hundo legendaries run and it's been a bit of a burn. But at the end of the day, the way that Pokemon Go works, there are so many Pokemon you could utilize and so many Pokemon are actually better than legendaries in whatever typing. I don't know. It's just a little bit too late, as Kyle said. I can't really think what I'd use my Master Ball on, because I don't really fancy, if I'm going to have a Galarian bird run on me, it's like, okay, all right, whatever, it ran again. If I catch it and use my Master Ball and it's like a 1, 2, 7, it's sort of, right, I've wasted it. I fully wasted it. So let's see, shall we?
Yeah, but that's what I said though, bro. You got your last ball, you've encountered a hundo Yveltal after 250 raids. It's a perfect time to use it. I don't or not, unless I'm...
I don't know, I'm talking about the Galarian bird stuff.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said you don't know when you utilise it. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking...
Coops use it on a match shop.
Yes, definitely on a match shop.
And you think it's a hundo and it's not, it's like a 258 or something like that. And it's just like, oh boy. Oh no.
Most unfortunate.
That's right. All right, Ian, what are you saving your Master Ball for?
Well, I think Whitfield and I are sharing a very similar viewpoint of this. We know it's an uber rare item, and I genuinely don't think that we'd get many of these in the game. We're certainly not going to be getting one a month. It's going to be a very rare commodity, a very rare item in the game. So I did think maybe Galarian bird, but then I honestly think I'm just going to sit on mine. I think it's one of these items that it's going to be difficult, because whatever you use it to catch, you're probably going to regret it at some point anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to sit on mine and just save my one a year, one every 2 years, or however many it is until There
The
is
game
something.
closes.
No,
Yeah,
but
honestly.
let's just say hypothetically that they did change that your guaranteed
Catch
cap
rates.
rate on raid shinies isn't a thing anymore.
Mhm.
Then there might be uses further down the road for them that we don't see now.
Ian, you'll have
Yeah.
24 though by the time the game ends.
And that'll be my flex.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, you'll win all of the contests in the team tents.
Oh my god.
Who
has
has
the
so
most
many
massive
balls
balls?
do you have?
Yeah, like, yep.
It'll be a medal, won't it?
It could be actually
There you go. Yeah. Oh my
the
gosh.
Master Ball medal.
But that
Don't give them
concern,
ideas.
the concern about the guaranteed catch on a shiny legendary going away was also my first instinct. When I read that, I was like, boy, that sounds a lot like it needs a foil in game design, and that would be our guaranteed catches we already have on some other things, which is
And
just the one.
And this ball has been in the game code for a long time.
Has been, yeah. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to say. I mean, so Niantic has never confirmed catch rates and in none of their published material they've never communicated that a shiny legendary is guaranteed. That's just been the case for people catching it. And I think there was like a very, very slim chance that you wouldn't catch it. I'm pretty sure that's happened at least once or twice when this conversation come up in the
speed
past.
lock and
Yeah, I think
other
it's only
things.
because
Yeah, it
of
could be
external
other
stuff.
things. Right.
And just wait for the fallout. If they do change the guaranteed catch on these, just wait for the social media fallout. It's
Oh
going
my
to be
gosh.
incredible.
Yeah.
Twitter will just set fire. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'll be
And
crazy.
Facebook. And Facebook.
And
Milo.
And Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And TikTok.
Yeah. Personally, I think Master Ball is a little overrated, except for like one use case for Galarian birds. But then again, like Ian said, I agree that I'm going to be like, why didn't I use it on the other two when I decide which one to catch?
Yep.
Because I like all of those birds. Those birds are great.
They're
So,
cool.
Yeah, they're real cool. Kyle, any thoughts?
I think you covered it mostly. I think there are two use cases in a non-shiny hundo legendary that you really want, and the Galarian bird that you want. I personally will save it until probably like maybe Giratina comes back to raids, and if I ever encounter a hundo, that's what I'd use it on because I would like to not lose that.
My guy.
And if I don't end up using it on that because I get one or something else, it's definitely going to be used on Galarian Zapdos because I don't really care about its stats. I just want to collect one.
Okay.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool design.
Sure.
And one last thought: this is the perfect item to do what they've already done with for this season, and give it as the reward for the last reward of a season.
Yeah.
Once a season is every 3 months for a year. It just,
That does work with the format.
I think for a year is such a perfect amount of something that's really, really valuable. I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's even in their eyes, that's too many. But to me, that sounds like a very reasonable amount that people would still use it versus hold on forever.
It's a good carrot on the stick, though, because this whole like seasonal long research thing is supposed to be something that you interact with over the course of the entire season. And of course, we've all been sitting the same page for a month and a half. But it's supposed to like, you know, keep the retention of the player in for the duration of that season. Oh, I'm already on step 4 of 6. I got to finish it out. I might as well, right? That's absolutely the play there. So I think the fact that it keeps you on the hook and that it's a reward for something that you've earned in game, I think makes a lot of sense. That's right. So.
Yeah, I think Kyle makes a good point in sense of maybe for a year or making it the end of the season reward keeps the incentive to actually maybe use it, because we've also 3 or 4 of us have said we're going to sit on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't know when you're going to get it. Something can be too rare for use. At that point, you're sort of like, well, what's the point of having it in the game then if it's so rare that so many people won't bother utilizing the item?
It's kind of funny that it's so different from the main series game because everybody saves their Master Ball in the main series game too, because you only get one. No one ever uses it. That's what everyone always says. And
true.
That's not a big deal. Pokemon doesn't care. They only gave you one. They don't have to worry about what they're doing. But Niantic needs you to use it because they need to give you another one because they need it to maintain its value. If it's so valuable as to not use it, it actually has no value at all.
Yeah, and that's a good argument. So what is too rare? What is too common?
Yeah, absolutely.
Straight away to me, sirens are going 4 a year seems like too many, but is it?
Well, yeah, it's a fine line for sure.
It'll turn up in the shop and it'll cost you 1,000 poker coins.
There you go. That's right.
And all of your pineapples.
That's the most accurate idea we've had here so far, I think. Yeah.
I could see it going into the shop, actually.
Yeah.
Like medallion price, yeah.
It'd be really cool if it was tied with daily incense and that they kept putting other things in there that was a rare spawn that were new to the game, like the Galarian birds. So they're like, okay, so for this season, the Galarian birds are going to be the chase and adventure, daily adventure incense. And, make sure you've kept your master ball. Who knows when these Pokemon will be back or how they'll appear. Like, that'd be cool if they paired those off. And then I think at that cadence, people will be encouraged to use them, use that feature, and they'll have some sort of guidance from, the authority, which would be Niantic, of how to use it, right? Instead of just like, oh, well, don't drop it. And that being it,
but it all circles back around too. Are people going to be scared to use it if they don't know how long they're going to be waiting to get another?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you deeper that, I think the good thing is that the game's been running for so long and we've not had it. So it's kind of like now everyone's got by. We've all played the game. We've all had a Galarian bird run away from us. We've all had a hundo from a legendary raid run away from us. So I actually think if they'd implemented it in before, it would have been fantastic. But if you looked at it that way, I get what you're saying, E. But we're all going to use it because they've never existed. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's not. If they now released another feature about the Galarian, I don't know, there isn't any, but the Galarian beasts, we'd now be a bit more like that because we'd be like, oh damn, because now they've been introduced afterwards. But because we've gone through the stress of 18 Galarian birds running from us, we're kind of over it. So if we've got a master ball, oh yeah, we'll use it. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of not that deep in that. If you looked at it from that angle. You
say that, but I think 3 of us said we weren't going to use our master ball.
No.
Wait for the shiny Galarian birds.
Yeah. No,
yes. Yeah.
Oh my
Imagine,
gosh.
Chris, though, from the point you said there, they just drop Arceus into the game or the daily incense.
Yeah, there you go.
And you're like, I used it on a what?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah,
I dropped it on a Starly.
Oh my god.
I tripped, fell, and caught something like a fur. Who knows?
That would be a way to
Fur's actually
lose.
kinda rare, so-
That would be a way to lose a Pokemon Go friend. Is use someone's
Use it on a
master ball
shiny
and a Pidgey.
Hoppip.
Shiny god.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because they're implying that you can use it in so many different settings. Like if somebody's asking you for help for catching a raid Pokemon, because that's very common. We've all raided with friends in person that are just absolutely bad at throwing, right? And they're like, okay, I've got 2 balls left. I need your help. You just scroll over and throw their master ball off the screen.
I shall not fail.
Do it for the content, Milo. You got to.
It's another video idea, bro.
Next shiny slack off.
How not to throw your master ball. Pokemon.
All right. Well, that's it for the news, and I think it's it for our time together here today as well. So I just wanted to thank all 4 of you so much for coming on the show. It's been fantastic, and I'd like to offer you some time to plug the show and your individual channels and where people can find you. So why don't we start with your individual stuff, or whoever wants to also plug the podcast general, please do. But why don't we start with Ian on this one?
Yes. So my YouTube channel is simply Ian Waterfall. My Twitter is Ian Waterfall. My Instagram is Ian Waterfall. So basically Ian Waterfall across
Nice.
Across everything. Nice and simple. I like to keep it simple. In terms of the podcast, Incensed Podcast is available on all good podcast platforms. You can find us by simply typing Incensed Pod, and bad ones. You can simply find us by typing Incensed Podcast in your search engine, and we will come up. We've got a nice little black background with a turquoisey, bluey, greeny,
yes, green smoke,
swirly smoke logo. And when you do, hit that subscribe or plus button or follow button, depending on which service that you use. And also, if you're on Spotify, please rate us 5 stars just to keep you happy.
Leave that for me. Leave that for me.
Come on then, Milo.
Yeah, so across the board, I am Pogo Milo UK on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, a link tree as well. It's much easier. We've got an Incensed link tree. It's got all the links. It's much easier to follow.
Wow. Okay.
They're very, very good. So that's me across the board.
Oh, and I'm just going to insert this right here for everybody. We will have all this in the show notes. So you don't have to pause and write it all down or pull over and write it down if you want. Although we would encourage you. I mean, please go ahead. But we will also have links in the show notes. Mark, go ahead. What about you?
Thank you, Chris. So I'm primarily on YouTube, Masterful27. But I am very active on Twitter. I love Twitter. It's a safe place. No one's nasty to anyone on there. And we have some great conversations on that. You can find me at Masterful_27 on Twitter. For all your therapy needs, come join us, hang out. It's great.
Amazing.
Amazing. No, but thank you, Chris and Carl. Lovely to be on. Cheers, boys.
Absolutely. Coop, something about reviews on Spotify?
How did you know? No, so obviously,
I don't know.
So obviously, I have no personal stuff, but I will just reiterate what Ian said. Yeah, you can find Incensed Podcast on all platforms. Come follow us on Twitter as well. We do sort of polls every week. You can sort of reach out to us. We've got different segments in the show that you can sort of contact us and reach out to us, different sort of ways. But yeah, follow us on Twitter at Incensed Podcast. And a bit like what the boys have said about all their personal handles, it's literally just at Incensed Podcast on sort of really everything. And speaking of Spotify, thank you, Chris.
It's a smirk.
If you do use Spotify, make sure you find us on there, Incensed, the Pokemon Go podcast. And give us a 5-star if you can, because I've got a bone to pick with the GOCast. They've got like 800 more reviews than what we do. So if you've enjoyed us tonight, we're going to take some of you and give us a 5-star on Spotify. That would be really greatly appreciated. And yeah, boys, thanks again for having us on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you all for your time. It's been wonderful having you on. Coops, if I go and I look and our Spotify reviews have gone down after this comes out, you're gonna get a very casual DM from me.
Casual DM. Oh my.
And Chris,
that's right.
Good news, right. You'll get a casual reply.
All right. Good. It's good to set expectations. All right. Well, thanks again to all 4 of you. Thank you to the Incensed podcast crew at large. And make sure y'all go and subscribe and check out the show if you have not already. And if you haven't already, it's been a missed opportunity. So you can fix that. That's the good news. But we will say goodbye and we will come back for the rest of the show after a short break. All right, welcome back. Thanks again to the Incensed podcast boys for coming and spending some time with us. Actually, not just some time, quite a bit of time. It was a treat through and through. So as a result of the longer time we spent, we're going to kind of cut down and slim down this back air quotes half of the show, and we're just going to go right into Pokepoll.
So our last Pokepoll question was, with GoFest dates and locations announced, what do you think this year's theme will be, and which Pokemon would you like to see featured? First response from Triptando, and they said, with some pink diamonds in the logo, this year's featured mythical just has to be Diancie. I quote, Diancie is born from a carbink that undergoes a mutation. It can instantly create diamonds by compressing the carbon in the air. Hold up. I don't think there's much carbon in the air like that. That sounds like there'd be catastrophic consequences for
unless
that.
It's able to like separate it from carbon dioxide.
It just sounds like an explosion from separating all the atoms.
It sure does.
Anyways, Diancie's pink glimmering body is said to be one of the most loveliest sights to experience in the world. So I could see this year's theme being about looks, appearance, and that sort of vibe. Glimmer and shine. Maybe we'll even get some more character customization options.
Ooh.
With the note that everyone is beautiful as they are. Would be nice to be able to represent a little bit more in your trainer, more accurately looking like yourself. Length, hairstyle, body type, etc. All options I would welcome in the game. Absolutely.
I think we all would. We need more body types.
Thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just please. There's not even like a height. Like, come on. Anything. Then one more thing about Diancie. It has a mega evolution. I'm curious to see how they will handle that. Will we get only one Diancie, like with all other GoFest mythicals? Will we even get its mega evolution right away? Will it be in legendary mega raids like Latios and Latias? and we could get multiple Diancie. Curious to hear what you guys think on this topic.
I mean, I think if it is Diancie, I think it'll get the same treatment we did before. Well, you'll have one at the research for the GoFest. You'll have another one for the research at the finale for the summer or the global, whatever they decide to do with it. And then we will all get some sort of research in like a year or two with the shiny version.
Yeah, but so here's the thought though. This is not the first mythical that we would potentially get multiple of, like, regularly, because both Deoxys and Darkrai are technically mythical Pokemon. So there's the possibility to have it in mega raids, legendary mega raids, and just go with it. I think that's unlikely. I think if they do it, they don't reward you a Pokemon and they have to just give you extra stuff and then mega energy, of course. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I don't see a compromise otherwise. They can't. There's no way that they give us, 2 Mew, 2 Celebi. We only have 1 Jirachi, I think, at this point. And not only give us 1 Diancie.
Yeah. Plus, it has the mega question too. Like how are you going to acquire mega energy, right? So, I mean, probably just relegate it to tasks, right? That we're not running amok.
It's too available. Like as funny as that sounds, even if the tasks are rare, and this is going to be very pessimistic sounding, but it's just very true. Tasks don't make Niantic any money.
Right.
And there's no way you don't monetize mega energy. There's no way.
Yeah, but then do you put an incentive on Carbink, who has a narrative tie to Diancie, in 1-star raids, and that 1-star raid will also give you mega energy for Diancie or something like?
I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
Like, I think it would be more interesting to do a 5-star raid that doesn't reward a Pokemon and instead rewards you. Obviously, you have to turn it up to a certain degree, or maybe we just don't see it until Kalos Tour.
It's very possible. Honestly, it's very possible.
2031.
What they could do is give us DNC and then not give us the mega form until much later, and that would effectively just push this decision back.
That's what's going to happen. We're not going to see it. There's no way. Yeah. But it is a difficult question they have to answer for it being a mythical, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Our next thoughts from Maxotron. They said Manaphy and Fion need their debut. Yeah, Diancie needs to be out for its mega to be available, but we are way past Sinnoh, and unless they're holding on to Manaphy for a special research line like they did for Solgaleo and Lunala, or for Sinnoh Go Tour, Manaphy needs to be up to bat. Aside from that, I agree with Kyle that Gumi is going to be featured so we can have its community day in summer/fall of 2024.
Yeah.
If they stick to Manaphy, then I can see the Lake Trio being globally available, like Latios or the Beasts. Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina could be in raids, and maybe there's some special raid for Arceus. That's another mythical that's due that could be in this GoFest, but it may be more likely saved for Sinnoh Tour along with the deity's signature moves. Oh man, I am fully convinced that every time somebody at Niantic looks at Arceus, they like shiver and then just look away. They're like, another day.
Yeah. That's a problem for future Niantic.
Like that scene in Iron Man 1 when Terrence Howard looks at the Mark 1 Iron Man suit and he's like, maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Every single time they look at Arceus. There's no way they're like, we can't do it. No, we can't do it.
Right. I mean, and then once you sit down to think about it, like, oh, that's right, this thing has 18 forms. Never mind. Let's table this. Yes. I forgot. It's like
this morning, 8 a.m. Arceus meeting. Oh boy.
Ooh, 8:05. We know we made a mistake. Oh yeah, no, good response. I mean, I think a Sinnoh Go Tour is probably going to have all of those things, and if they don't, they'll have to give us stuff. They'll give us one Arceus in a research, and it's the regular form, and the moves are not going to be good, right? In order to balance it out.
Yeah,
and then
there's no way Arceus is good.
And if we get Diancie, we won't have Mega right away or something like that. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then we do have one voicemail response from Crazy Cobra as well that we're going to play.
Hey, Cherith and Child. It's Crazy Cobra again.
Ooh.
I'm sort of answering the Pokepoll. It was asking what the theme should be and what Pokemon should be featured for GOCast 2023. First, not to be unoriginal, but I agree that Goomy should be featured with its shiny form. It's my favorite Dragon-type Pokemon, and it totally deserves the shiny. As for the game, my vote is for like a title like The Glint of the Gem or something like that, as I believe that this GoFest will introduce terrestrialization into the game. It fits so well considering the crystal-like background and Dialga. For those who don't know, terrestrialization is the gimmick for the latest Pokemon generation, Scarlet and Violet. Basically, mid-battle, the Pokemon can be terrestrialized, which makes it more powerful, while adding a crystal coat over your Pokemon and temporarily changing its type to its Terra type. This is where things get interesting. Their Terra type is almost always one of their original types. For example, Bulbasaur would have either Grass or Poison Terra type. But sometimes the Pokemon can have a unique Terra type, like Flying Terra type Pikachu. This leads to some strengths and weaknesses and some surprising twists in battles. Obviously, some aspects of the mechanic would have to be changed, but I think that this is likely to be introduced based off of clues I have. I guess I'm sorry for the long voicemail, but at least I wasn't cut off halfway. Shiny goomy vibes to all. Bye.
Awesome. I would love to see Terra types brought in. I agree. It adds a great dimension to the rock, paper, scissors nature of the game. But man, PvP would just be transformed.
It would. And like, so Megas and Gigantamax present a massive problem for Go's PvP. It just doesn't work. The format doesn't support it. It would break pretty much everything, in my opinion. We already see it on Mega Days where there's like one Mega that is the only one you want to use, really.
Yeah. When it's been relegated to, isn't this a wacky fun thing to do? We already know that that's probably not going to be made for competitive, right?
But terrestrializing, it has a place in Go. Like it has a really, really good place in Go, I think. So that I don't even PvP, but I could already understand how interesting that could be.
The thing about it too is that it lends itself to mobile gaming because it's a resource sink. If you want to change the Terra type in game, you have to collect 50 Terra shards of that type, which you get from sometimes in the wild, but mostly from doing Terra raids.
Raid dens, yeah.
Right. So it would be interesting if you could get raid Terra shards from like lower level raids, would have more of them or something like that, which would be a great way of encouraging people to do that. Like that, because it's a resource sink. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's a really good
I hope this is going to sound funny. I hope Niantic skips over Gigantamax and figures out terrestrializing first.
Oh, yes.
I don't think it's going to happen personally, but I would like to see it happen.
Yes, I would like to see it happen as well, but at the same time, give me my Gigantamax Charizard because it looks so sick.
It's okay. Give me my Cave of Wonders Gengar. So
who dares disturb my slumber for 3 turns? Awesome. Thank you for the voicemail, Crazy Cobra. Appreciate it.
All right. So for this week's Pokepoll, we have, with the addition of the Master Ball to Pokemon Go, what other types of Pokeballs would you like to see and how would they work?
So this is going to require a little bit of information about Pokemon outside of Go. But there are all sorts of different kinds of Pokeballs in the main series games, like Lure Balls, Dive Balls, Quick Balls, Love Balls, Friend Balls, all sorts of things. Net Balls, right? So if you're not familiar, it's kind of fun to go see what could be potentially coming to the game now that we know that they're not adverse to adding different types, right? And it'd be cool to see what people think or how they think they'll work out in game too. There's a couple of low-hanging fruit, like, Quick Balls. It's just the faster you throw it in the encounter, the better chance you have, like Yahoo. But I think some of the other ones are more interesting, like if the net ball actually opened and changed the hitbox to like a net, that'd be cool, right? That was an idea I had. What do you think, Kyle?
I would love to see Luxury Ball.
Yeah.
I see. So here's the difficult part about me for answering this question is a lot of the choices you make for a Pokeball in Pokemon usually happen after the fact. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're really thinking about it, you catch the Pokemon and then you think about what ball do I want to breed to have this Pokemon in. But something like a luxury ball giving you more friendship because you have the Pokemon in it, affecting how many buddy hearts it gets, actually has a functional use in Go. The difficulty, of course, being I don't know if I want this Pokemon as my buddy.
Right.
Until after you've long after you've caught it, probably, unless it's a legendary, maybe.
Right.
But I think something along those lines, something that does something more than just augments the catch rate, and there's a handful of those.
There are, yeah. Again, like there's low hanging fruit, but like some of them will just like straight up will not like translate well into Go. Too.
Yeah, like a heal ball, maybe that'd be kind of fun to. I mean, not that they're a like difficult resource, but to heal a Pokemon whenever you leave combat.
Oh yeah,
like you just make it that. Like it's not necessary, but it would be pretty cool to have.
Or if they started adding this, like the Safari Zone thing, where you could opt to throw a rock at a Pokemon, and then it might run away or it might stay. And if it does stay, then something like a heal ball would be better at, I don't know. There's a lot of different things that they could do. And there's a lot of really great Pokeball designs that we would probably all love to see.
Good.
They are
all so good. But luxury ball is definitely my answer.
That's a good one. Yeah. But if you, dear listener, have an answer to this week's Pokeball question, which is, with the addition of the Master Ball to Pokemon Go, what other types of Pokeballs would you like to see, and how would they work? You can answer that question we posted on Twitter at GOCast Podcast. You can also send it to us via email to mail@gocastpodcast.com. You can call and leave a voicemail with said answer, 262-586-7717. If you're a patron of ours in the Patreon exclusive Discord, we have a channel dedicated to it. If you're listening via Spotify and on the mobile app, you can also answer that question when we post it in the Q&A for this episode. And lastly, but certainly not least, if you watch this on YouTube, yes, there is a video version of the show. Please check it out. You can answer in the comments. Just leave whatever you think your answer would be, and you might get on the show. Yep. All right, and we're going to actually skip over voicemails and emails other than the ones that in response that we already heard this week. So, we weren't able to actually accept emails for a couple of days because the URL and domain transferred over, and so I had to refresh it after a couple of days. So if you tried to send us an email and you got a kickback, sorry about that. Please try again. It's all working now. No problem. We did get a couple of emails, but we will save them for next week. So, Kyle, I'm sorry, but there's no jingle this week. Do you want to do it just because? You want to say it's not time for emails? Something.
It's no emails this week.
Oh man, that feels weird. That feels weird, but it feels better than not trying anything, I suppose. Okay, well. We already plugged everything, but if you'd like to help support the show, you can via Patreon. That's patreon.com/GoCast podcast. Also visit our website for all things GoCast podcast at GoCastPodcast.com. Shout out to our elite trainer tier patrons. Thank you so much to Bo, Daniel, Lori, Michael, Ozzy, Ted, Tish, Marvin, Mimi, Sforcisui, and Ryan Thayer, Jason, Justin, Charles, Modders, Lee, William, Brandon, Ethan, Stephen, Nick, Kelvin, our favorite listener, Duchu, Camo, The Ugly Rock, and Jacob. Thank you so much for your generous support and helping us keep the digital lights on. You are the best, and that's just factual. That's observable truth right there. And if you'd like to help support the show further, you can, of course, leave us a review. We got one new review this past week. It is a 5-star review. It was left from the person who left the 4-star review on our show for Lured Up last episode.
Yeah.
And this just says, oops, my bad. Thank you very much, Ben. We appreciate you writing another review. Thank you. Please feel free to leave a review as well. We'd love to hear it and hear from you and get your stamp of approval if you think we deserve it. Last thing for us to do, Mr. Kyle, is we already set our goals. Let's just reiterate them really quick because that's the format. This is what we do. It would be so strange if we didn't.
Yep. Okay. So for me, I want 12 shiny Fennekin, 300,000 Stardust, and 500,000 experience.
Pretty doable. Unless you miss the day for some reason. Yeah. For myself, 30 shiny Fennekin, 500,000 Stardust, Larvesta, and 50 eggs in pursuit of said Larvesta. So that's it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening all the way through. Make sure you go check out the Incensed podcast. Again, we'll have links to everything in the show notes. But please, please, please go give them a visit and a listen and a subscribe, because their show is wonderful and they're great folks. But so are you. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. And we'll see you next week for episode 237. We've got another guest next week, so it'll be exciting. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye.